Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tarda Zone. This is the Tarda Zone Talks, and we're here to talk about the Interstellar Song Contest. This is the panel review. Plus, we're going to talk about Ncuti Gatwa, who is leaving Doctor Who, but that's no surprise for most of us that are in the know. We've been saying it a good while. I even did a video last year where I discussed his behavior behind the scenes. And I do remember I was criticized by some out there for reporting the fact that he was criticized for his behavior behind the scenes. Also, Doctor Who and Disney Plus looks like the marriage is over. Again, something that me and a lot of other people out there have been absolutely right about. Now, BBC have put out a statement in regards to Ncuti Gatwa, but I just want to remind you all, folks, and I did in a little video a while ago, they said the same thing about Jodie Whittaker, and then Jodie Whittaker was off a few weeks later. So I wouldn't be taking any credence in what BBC have to say in relation to Ncuti Gatwa's departure from the show. They lie through their teeth all the time. The fact of the matter is that Ncuti Gatwa looks like he's on the way out, and he's been on the way out for a long time, if we're quite honest about it. Disney Plus also pulling out is not news to most of us that are in the know. We knew this all along. But what I can't believe is that there's a certain YouTuber out there that has turned his attention to the Sensphere, Brendan's channel. Now, the only reason why I bring this up is because I just want to remind people that the person that's going after Brendan from the Sensphere said that Disney Plus were happy with Doctor Who and that they were staying and they weren't going anywhere. The same person also claimed and said and called people liars for saying the opposite, that Ncuti Gatwa was going to be filming this February and he was going to be filming the third series of Doctor Who. Again, that was a load of bullshit. So, as I said, Brendan has been on to me private DMs to thank me for sticking up for him. But the bottom line is this, I will stick up for anybody against a bully. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is that this man has been bullying people in the fandom for almost 8 years, even longer. Before we came on the scene, he was bullying people. This is nothing new from this gobshite. And the only reason why he's doing the bullying now is trying to distract away from all the lies that he told. But I want to remind you that this fella is the biggest fraud in the fandom. He's the biggest liar in the fandom. And he was wrong about Jodie Whittaker. He's wrong about Ncuti Gatwa. And he's wrong about Disney Plus and Doctor Who. Now, again, like so many people on here, we talked about a possible pause until 2027, possibly 2028. That has been reported by the media as well. So, again, I would just like to point out that the person in question that's gone around bullying people should be ignored by everybody because he's a fraud and he's a liar and he's never come out with anything truthful on his channel. And that's a fact. Even the leaker that has been on Reddit has more of a track record than this fella claims to have. Okay? The bottom line is no matter how he tries to spin this, right? No matter how hard he tries to spin this, right? He said that Disney Plus were happy with Doctor Who and they were going to continue their journey together. We do now know that that is quite possibly not happening. Listen, once the media start getting onto it, the media start talking about it, it's game over, right? And why would Disney Plus throw any more money into a failed era that is RTD's era? Now, the one thing I will say in relation to BBC possibly going it alone is this. If you're going to go it alone, that's fine, okay? Whether it'll be a success or not is another thing. But I can tell you it will not be a success if you continue with RTD, right? So you've got to take the risk, and the risk is to bring someone in that has never worked on this show before. That's the risk that you take, right? And if it doesn't pay off, it's at least fans can say you tried, okay? But if you get anybody from the RTD era, the Stephen Moffat era, or indeed the Chris Chibnall era working for this show again in the future, then you have no chance of recovery. You have no chance of saving this IP, or it's just the bottom line, right? That's where it is in a nutshell, right? You cannot go back to people that have worked on this show in the past and promote them and give them the tools to try and make this succeed, because they won't. Okay, we need new blood. We need people that have never worked on this show before but know about Doctor Who and know what it's all about. Okay, obviously they'd have to have some knowledge, but we need someone completely brand new. Nobody that's worked for the previous regimes should be working on Doctor Who ever again. So if BBC want to truly go it alone, and I don't mind with less episode seasons if they do it right, in fairness. Once they do it right, you know, not fans won't complain. Okay, they won't. It's as simple as that. So that's the risk that BBC need to be actually taken here, is bringing in new blood and forgetting about people that have wrote for this show or have had anything to do with this show since 2017. Well, since it came back in 2005, right? We can't have any of those people. If we do, we're going to get the same old shite, and BBC are going to be in the same position when our Doctor Who comes back in 2027. It's supposed to be taking a little break. If it does come back after 2027 and they have the same people working on the show, well, then you're wasting everybody's time. And that's my opinion on it. I will get the panel's opinions on this. We're just waiting for if there's any more people actually coming on the panel tonight. I have Matt did show an interest on coming on, but I think that was for Wednesday, but I didn't do the panel on Wednesday. So I have got in touch with Matt to try and see if he still wants to come on. But we've got two people waiting in the studio. And also, I just want to say again, because I have to say it again, and I don't mean to be rude or anything, but, you know, when you come on, you have to give people a chance to talk, okay? Because it's not fair. I used to do it quite a lot on this channel. Didn't give anybody else across people and all. I can't allow that to happen. People have to be able to get their opinions across without any disruption. So I just want to make it clear, if anybody disrupts anybody while they're talking, what's going to happen is they're going to be removed from the studio until the other person has finished speaking. I'm sorry I have to be strict about it, but it's just happening too many times now since we've been doing these panels on this season. So, you know, give everybody a chance to talk. And, you know, as I said, you know, I don't want to dwell too much on these episodes because we've got lots of other things to talk about as well. Because to be quite honest with you, we know this is bull. And this episode was absolutely rubbish. So I just want to make it clear, you know, give everybody a chance to speak, please, because, you know, it's starting to get a bit disenfranchised for some people. Some people won't even come on to the panel now because they're not getting a word in edgeways. And you know what? I kind of understand it because I used to do it myself. Even Lee, probably Bing will say the same. You know, we used to do that quite a lot in the early days, the both of us. But we've kind of toned it down. So all I'm asking is people do the same when they come on. Give people a chance to talk. Because remember, you might be an assertive person and okay, getting your points of view across and stuff like that. But remember, there's some people that might maybe on the panel that are not as assertive as us. So we got to give those people a chance to have their say as well. So yeah, I hope you all understand. I'm not giving out about anybody in particular. I just want to set a few boundaries and a few ground rules before we start this, because I will be doing because the first trailer apparently for the spin-off is going to be shown at the theatre release of this finale, and I will be doing that, and I will have a panel. So I I want to get the ground rules in place now. Should have done it at the very beginning, to be quite honest with you. But, want to get the ground rules set now, because when we're moving forward now, I'm not going to be tolerating that, because sometimes people talk over each other and it gets very messy. We've had a few people say it to me, which is fair enough. I am the owner of the channel, so people are going to say it to me. So just want to make that clear. But look, I will get people's opinion and shoot you a little bit later. I just wanted to give you my opinions on it. But I do think he's gone, and I wouldn't be listening to the BBC in relation to that. I also think Disney Plus is gone as well. So remember, if there's people out there that are going into people's chats and attacking them, and you know who I'm talking about, you need to ignore that person now, just like I've done. That's why he has drawn his attention to Brendan rather than draw his attention to me, because I have been ignoring him. I don't want to listen to the bullshit out of his mouth anymore, because I know, like a lot of you know, that he's a complete bullshit artist and is a liar and has lied in this fandom for too many years and has gotten away with it. The only difference is that there's a person like me that has been willing to call him out over the years, and he doesn't like it. So now he thinks he can go now and bully other people. Well, you're not going to go around bullying other people, right? What you should do now is you should just concentrate on your channel and do your bullshit little videos, right? And leave the experts when it comes to Doctor Who, rumour, speculation and news, right, to do their job, okay? And you just do whatever the fucking hell you do, right? And leave everybody else out of it that's been in the know and that has been correct over the years. Your time in this fandom of bullying people and dictating to people is over. Yeah, it's over. People know now that you're a liar, and you are a liar, and you can go and rant and say you're going to sue me and you're going to get on a plane and all of that. I hope you fucking do, because you don't have a leg to stand on, and you won't get on a plane because you're a fucking coward, right? So the bottom line is this: shut your fucking mouth and leave it to us, the people that have been telling the fucking truth, to give the news to people out there, because you're certainly the most unreliable fucking person in this fandom when it comes to this kind of stuff. You're a fucking fraud and a loser. Anyway, let's bring on the fucking panel, because this is going to be an interesting one on this Interstellar bar contest. I don't know what you want to fucking call it, but, I was actually surprised, though. It was done subtly. It wasn't in your face. But I was expecting a lot more agenda in this. It was just done a lot more subtly. And I suppose if you watch the episode again a second time, you'll see some things that you probably missed the first time around. But I was expecting Mr. Dawson's episode to be full of crap. And, well, it was full of crap, but not the crap that I thought it was going to be full of. But, look, it got a bit of a ratings boost, but that's explained because of the FA Cup final and Eurovision, so I wouldn't be jumping up and down and celebrating. And that goes to the fans out there that have been, bragging about this week's ratings. There's nothing to brag about, guys. The FA Cup and Eurovision was on, and people just didn't bother to turn off their TVs. That's all it is. They did, remember, as I said, 5 minutes counts as a view. So we don't know who's actually watching Doctor Who live. Someone has tried to break down the numbers and lost 50% of its audience or something. So, don't be listening to the frauds out there. Sick of them all now at this stage. And listen, they're having a meltdown over Ncuti because the Sun newspaper is the one that's released the stuff. Now, I do believe that the Sun newspaper's a rag. Like most people, I think it's a scumbag paper. But when it comes to Doctor Who rumours, just like the Mirror, they have gotten a lot of things right. Of course, the fans in this fandom that are hoping that Ncuti stays and hoping that the series stays with Disney Plus are coming out with the times that obviously the Sun and the Mirror got it wrong. Don't judge them on that. Nobody gets everything 100% right. Of course, we do know that there's a person out there that gets everything 100% wrong. But we won't mention who that is because I've already had a rant about them. But anyway, let's bring on my panel because I'm not alone tonight. I don't know who else is coming on. Melon Rattler can't join us because Melon Rattler is in work. but he did say he'd join us for the finale. So I look forward to seeing him there, and we may have some other new faces as well for the finale, because we always seem to get a lot of people that want to come on for the final episode of Doctor Who. So I look forward to that in the next couple of weeks. So let's bring on our panelists, because I'm, as I said, I'm not alone, and I'm sorry about the music in the background, but you know the local fucking team is playing, and we got that music up too fucking high, bastards. Like, I love Gangster's Paradise, but like, they're not when I'm in the middle of fucking stream and people don't need to fucking hear it. Like, anyway, let's bring on our panel. We got the one and only Robert joining us this week.
Evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Of course, we got the one and only Problem Bing.
Hello.
And of course, we got Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Duggadoo. Oh, God.
Oh, not that shit. Fuck off, man.
That was the best bit of the episode,
man.
I thought.
The audio will be crackly because my computer is acting up, so I'm sorry if that is the case, but if I put the headset in, it's going to be worse. So we're just going to have to make do.
And I'm going to be muting a bit now and again because I'm in the midst of doing a little bit of cooking and stuff.
Oh, that's no problem. What you having? What's on the menu?
A fucking chicken. Yeah, we're having chicken with roast chicken with cheese, spices, and chips. Nothing special.
Roast chicken with cheese, spices, and chips.
And,
wow.
And some pine nuts. I think I might just...
Right, yeah, that sounds very very funky.
And a bit of lemon. Bit of lemon chips.
In fairness, though, you can't go wrong with the roast chicken.
Can't go wrong with a bit of roast chicken.
And lemon butter on your chicken is fucking lovely, man.
Oh, might put some butter on there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Seriously, do a bit of lemon butter instead of making a sauce or a gravy. A bit of lemon in the butter, mix it all up, and then fucking pour it over your chicken breast. I swear, man, not messing. It's lovely.
All right.
Check it out.
I'll do that.
And if I fucking ruin your dinner, don't blame me.
I will blame you. I will blame you, Noel.
Did someone say lemon? We did, President Lemon. Do you want to give fucking Lee a few free lemons there, mate? Fuck's sake. We see you in here every week and you never fucking offer anybody a lemon. Anyway, let's get into this shit show. I don't want to look at... I kind of want to just focus 40 minutes on this, right? I'm not saying we're leaving in 40 minutes, but I just want to focus 40 minutes on this episode itself because it was a bar fest anyway. And I want to talk about Doctor Who's future and the future of Ncuti Gatwa as well, right? So that's what I really want to take up most of the time here because I can't be... I'm actually getting to the point where I can't be asked to review these fucking episodes anymore, to be quite honest with you. So what we'll do is we'll focus more on Ncuti, the news on Ncuti, and the news that Disney Plus are out and the show possibly going on a pause until 2027, and speak about, you know, those things and stuff. But let's talk about, obviously, let's talk about this this shit show, and I'll start with you, Robert. So the Interstellar song contest, was it good for you or was it a dud?
Well, I want to start by confessing that I did not see it, and I'm glad that I didn't because I've seen quite enough of the clips from the episode to have a very clear view of how good it wasn't. I've never been so glad to miss an episode in my life. It was, by all accounts, it was just crazy, absolutely random. And, you know, it's just like the other time somebody took over and had a bit of a revolution with the that boy who pretended to go out with Ruby. One person taking over a whole thing, it's a base station and everything, and presses a button and this big handle that turns the roof off and or it goes into space and that. Yeah, it's not believable anymore. I mean, it's supposed to be science fiction, and that's why I call it Mock Who now, and not Doctor Who, because that's where it is. It's somebody's idea of what fantasy is, and yeah, from the unbelievable way that everything was done by the bad guy to the unbelievable thing that was done to correct what he did and save all those people's lives, 100,000 or so people into space for a half hour or more, and they all come back and stick them in the fridge for a couple of minutes, and once Bucks Fizz has finished singing, they're all fine. And then to top it off, Ncuti's doctor starts torturing people as a hard light hologram from Red Dwarf. And then we have the post-title sequence where they ruined the Rani as well. So well done.
Yeah, the two things in this episode that kind of annoyed me was the Susan cameo, because they're dragging Carol Ann Ford into this mess. I will say though, even though I kind of hated the cameo, at the same time, it was nice to see her again. It's just a pity that it's in this fucking absolute shit show of an era. But it was nice to see Carol Ann Ford again. I think, in fairness,
all the episodes that could have happened in now.
Yeah, but the thing about someone asked where the money went. It's the most expensive episode. I can tell you where the money went. The money did actually go into the visuals, because I thought the visuals were spectacular. I'm not going to lie, the visuals were spectacular. I mean, when that roof blows off the space station, right, the way it did, it was very well done. It looked absolutely amazing. The problem is as Robert has brought up, you know, they kind of thrown logic out the window. If you get sucked into the vacuum of space, right, like they did, even Ncuti screaming, Doctor screaming in space when he grabs the fucking confetti gun, right, and he uses it to launch himself back into he's screaming in space, right? You can't scream. It's a vacuum. It's a fucking vacuum. It's
not only that. Do you remember in Space Babies when the airlock opened up and it was like, you know, from Alien or Aliens? You had the airlock open up and everything's being sucked out, but Ncuti Gatwa was slammed against the wall next to the opening of the airlock. And it's like, that's not how that works. He would be sucked directly the nearest point to go straight out the airlock. He'd be sucked out. But no,
he'd like that, wouldn't he?
That's
Can I make
one at a time? Go ahead.
Can I make a scientific point of view? Nobody's sucked into space. They're blown into space by the air coming out of the container.
That's true.
And that space station had a gravity force to pull them back down anyway. So whether, just like Earth doesn't have a lid on it and it's quite fine, it'd be a bit windy for a time, but they should, if there's going to be enough air to keep people on the bottom of the showground, whatever, alive, then there should be enough to keep people alive in general anyway. So they don't really need a roof over there if the gravity is strong enough, I think.
Well, do you know what?
I can't give you the numbers on that, but
you know what, Robert? You can tell that this series is definitely not written by anybody with any science knowledge, because you know, I know it's science fiction, right? And I know in some shows that we've watched in the past, we kind of have to stretch our imaginations for it to be believable. But this goes way beyond. I mean, the fact that they all survived, and this is another problem that I seem to have with this era, and I'll get into the fact that Ncuti's doctor, I'll get into that a little bit later. Ncuti's doctor basically beating the shit, trying to kill someone to death. Like, they actually showed that on a family TV show. The doctor beating someone to death, basically, and that's okay. This doctor has no problem with murdering anybody, and let's say it clear. This version has no problem in murdering people or taking people out that they don't agree with. And that's what this whole era seems to be, RTD projecting to the us as the audience. Well, you're not wanted, we hate you, and this is what we're going to do to you if you don't, believe in what we believe. Now, visually, this episode was stunning, but the most expensive episode of Doctor Who, it shouldn't be about the visuals, right? It should be about the storytelling and even the cast. If you're going to spend that amount of money on an episode, and they said it themselves, the most expensive, well, where's the acting talent to go with that? Because there was zero acting talent. Did they give Carol Ann Ford a big, healthy paycheck just to appear in this? Where did the money go? That's the question I'd be asking if I was a Doctor Who fan. This was the most expensive episode ever produced, so where did the money go? Right? It didn't go on the visuals.
The money would have gone on the extras, on the cast of so-called thousands, even though most of them be replicated and through CGI and
there'll be about 30 in a room, and then they'll double it over and over and over, or whatever, however they do it.
But a lot of that is sets. A lot of that was CGI.
Well, they must have put the big step of this, in fairness, for the as you said, they must have built a big set, because I can't fathom where all of this money went for this episode, because as I said, the visuals alone, and the visuals were, and I will say that it's the only positive thing that I've got to say about this episode is if you are watching this on the big screen, if you are watching this in the cinema and you saw that scene with the roof blowing off, that looked spectacular on TV. So I can imagine if that was in the cinema, that would have looked absolutely brilliant, right?
I suppose that's where the money goes, though, doesn't it? The money wouldn't go on the script, because that's just that's them typing on a script on a machine, or however they do it.
Well, Juno Dawson would have to be paid cinnamon.
Yeah, must be paid extra money for another facelift or something.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
They'd only have to hire a arena as well if they want to have that at the show area. But
they did look convincing, I did think. They did actually look like they were there in fairness. That was one of the few good things about it.
But
it's like you said, Noel. It's like you said. It doesn't. It's not. It's never been about how good it looks. This rhetoric that what shaky sets. It never really had shaky sets. It's just a lot of that. All right, it wobbled one time in the web planet when it walked into the camera. That was the only time it wobbled one time. Apart from that, 60s here was more than fine. Again, this rhetoric that shaky sets. A lot of that is just kind of. No, you're right.
We had the bubble
wrap. Phrase that got passed down to people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's what amazes me is that this excuse is rolled out all the time, like the shaky sets and this, that, and the other. Look, back then they had little to work with, and they produced some of the best TV in British TV history with Doctor Who. And you see, the thing that I don't get is that, everybody's trying to figure out, right? We know, obviously, us on the panel and other people that do this now, we know why the show is failing, right? But BBC don't seem to have a clue why it's failing, right? Or anybody else that defends, RTD or defends BBC for what they're doing with the show, they can't seem to fathom why this show is failing. It's failing because of the politics, right? It's failing because of the DEI hires. It's failing because every time we switch on the TV, we're given a lecture about something, or we're told that we're bad because we're a certain skin colour and all of this other nonsense, right? He's also even had a go at fans this season, RTD, especially podcasters like myself, Gary Neurotics, anybody, right? Anybody that has been against what this show has done in the last few years, RTD has had a pop, right? And I did honestly think that Juno Dawson would use this opportunity to go a little bit more deep with their message, but it was actually subtly done, but you could see what the message that Dawson was trying to convey with this whole story. I mean, this is a mess. I mean, it was boring. Again, there was no real, let's be honest. I mean, you see that roof being blown off, you think, oh, wow, he's just killed everybody, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, they're all safe. So there was no threat really there to begin with. And
I think President Lemon says it perfectly. If I wanted to be told how evil I was every weekend, I'd go to church. And it is. This is church.
Oh, yeah.
It's the church of the woke with its latest bloody lecture. You know, the Psalm RTD. You know.
Yeah. It's go on, Lee. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to kind of give my sort of take on this, and then you can do what you want with it, really.
Well, there's plenty to talk about, isn't there? You know, it's funny they mention religion, you know, and there's the sort of quote unquote the Jew reference, and the whole thing about the horns, and this obsession that Jimmy D seems to have with horns. They wrote a book as well about it was like a goat and it had horns in it, some satanic crap probably.
Well, if you look at anti-Semitic tropes throughout.
It was when I saw your Instagram post earlier, and I thought I'll remember that because we'll talk about it later. And you spoke about it on your post, so
yeah. Well, I'll sort of give a brief resume of what I said in that post, which is a music festival where a massacre, genocide, revenge, an attempted ban on a race. A singer shamed for her race, her planet. They wanted to ban.
Yeah.
She got to sing anyway to an audience who would boo her normally. And they didn't recognize her race because they cut the horns off. So it's like she sort of rejected that part of herself. The Doctor, played by an actor who fought like 2 minutes before Israel got through to the Eurovision final, decided to pull out of representing the UK jury vote. Is the same actor who played the part of this character, gleefully torturing the man with the race with the horns. So torturing a man with the horns, who's portrayed as a white man with horns, who showed no remorse for committing an act of genocide, even though it was in revenge for the slaughter of his own people. Now, I mean, you'd say subtle. I didn't see that as very subtle. I saw that as blatant anti-Semitism. And Gatwa's reasoning, I'm sure, 100%. I mean, I could be wrong, but I doubt it, that he left that job to represent the UK jury because Israel went through. And can you imagine Ncuti Gatwa announcing 12 points to Israel?
His skin would he'd have to wipe his skin with domestos, wouldn't he? Yeah,
he'd be crying.
By the way, Alex Baxter took over from Ncuti when he decided to pull out. But I love BBC's response to it was due to unforeseen circumstances.
It was very topical scene, actually. I foresaw it. I was like, this is not going to go well. Because he's posted numerous times free Palestine, all this kind of stuff. Like, whatever your views are, fine. I mean, I think you're balmy. I think you're wrong. I think you're supporting an ideology which is akin to the 1930s Germans. But okay, whatever. You want to lie that there's a genocide being committed, and you can use that to justify your hatred of Jews. I'm not going to stop you. I mean, I'd rather you expose yourself, quite honestly. And
be genocide of Hamas, yeah. Everyone else.
You know, if there was an act of genocide It was on October the 7th. That was a targeted attempt to destroy a whole group of people based on their race and ethnicity and their religion. End of story. It's nothing to do about land. There is plenty of Islamic land all around. 2 billion Muslims in the world. There are 15 million Jews in the world, most of which live in
Talk
Israel.
about punching down.
The size of Wales, okay? It's a country the size of Wales. It's the one and only Jewish state. You want to criticize Israel? Go ahead, knock yourself out. But when it comes to blood libels against the Jewish people in the only Jewish state in the world, while shutting your mouth about Yemen and what's going on in other parts of the Middle East, what's happening, you know, in Iraq.
You forget with the white farmers.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hypocritical. And for them to write a Doctor Who story, to distort these facts, to work it in. Okay, I understand science fiction should be used allegorically, but using absolutely proven throughout history, from the medieval period through to the bad Germans in 1930s to now, where horns have been used to depict Jews. It's not by accident. It is not by. Why do they look exactly like us, but they've got horns on? When you've got all these other alien races that look alien in the show. Do you know what I mean? It's
especially when you have the writer himself post on Instagram or on his story quite obviously about this very topic. Yeah. So it's not like it's beyond their realm. It's I've never heard of this conflict before. You talk about it a lot. So it's not hard to imagine that, again, Ncuti posting on his story, Free Palestine, like they even know what it means. And again, with Juno, same thing.
I'd just like to point out that is the same call made by the guy who murdered 2 Christian Jews over the last 2 days ago in New York City. Yeah. I mean, I say Christian Jews. They were Jews, but they were Christians, whatever. But they were killed because the guy saw them as Israeli, saw them as Jews, and didn't discriminate in any other way other than they were Jews and they deserved to die. And it's because of this kind of reckless media coverage of the conflict in Israel, in the Middle East, that they demonize Israel to the point of absurdity, with the claims that 14,000 babies were going to starve in the next 48 hours, which was proven to be yet again another lie. And then that happened in New York, and it's all because, you know, it's funny, you know, they always make this anti-Semitic trope that the Jews own the media, right? They own the media. If that were true, this wouldn't be bloody happening.
No.
And it just boils my blood that the BBC are using Doctor Who to make anti-Semitic screeds, anti-white racism as well. And of course, because they always say that the Jews are white colonizers, even though the vast majority of Jews in Israel are people of color, to use their expression. But that's ignored, but we'll portray them as white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, with horns as the main villain, and a man, of course, to add insult to injury. Everything condensed down into the worst trope stereotypes that are racist, racial in intent, and bigotry of all the things that they accuse everyone else of. You know, how many times have we been called the bad guys from Germany over the last few years, whilst they themselves are actively supporting, like our own government, Hamas. Hamas sent, Keir Starmer a thank you letter. A proscribed terrorist organization sent our leader a letter of thanks for their support. This is where we're at. And the BBC, who've been pushing for left-wing politics, pushing for Labour to get in because of the evil bastard Tories, no fan of them either, this is what you get. And
so even Labour's went back on what they said. Even Labour's gone back on what they support, like this last year under Kerr. Like, he's gone completely against everything that he ran for. So I mean, you know, what's BBC going to do now? Like, do you know what I mean? Because I do agree with you.
They always do. They cover for it. Everything that happens at the BBC is 99% cover up, right? We know that from history, right?
Yeah.
Everything is cover up. The only time anything ever happens is when someone is pushed to resign of their own volition in order to satiate the public mood. Because, like we saw with Gary Lineker, you know, over his nonsense. Finally, after how many years? The so-called impartial BBC that's supposed to be constantly impartial, yet this guy ran his mouth off all the time since October the 7th about this. And, you know, for a bunch of people who claim to be anti-racist running this show and turning everything into an allegory against white people, white men in particular, and men in general as well, to be fair. And this was the worst in terms of racism from within Doctor Who. The anti-Semitism is off the charts, and it's so blatant. And I cannot understand how people are not understanding this at all. That it's like it's just hand waved away. Oh, it's got all this color and it's all these oppressive CGI, and oh look, you know, the Doctor didn't cry so much, or whatever, and all this other stuff. You know, all this very superficial, peripheral stuff. But you're kind of just hand waving away what they're actually doing. And if you can't see it, well, I'm sorry. Maybe that's a good thing you didn't see it, because I saw it and it boiled my piss. Well, and the fact that they used this just before Israel came onto the Eurovision and came second, a survivor of October the 7th, who buried herself under the bodies of her dead friends at that music festival on October the 7th. She was booed, harassed. And this thing before it, Ncuti Gatwa didn't want to present it because of her. A hero. She was a hero. She survived a horrible attempt at a genocide against the Jewish people. And for Doctor Who to be used as a mockery of that is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I cannot abide it. I cannot see how these fuckers cannot see that and to think that that's okay. You know, the Jews are 0.02% of the global population. Okay, you've got 49 to 50 Islamic countries surrounding Israel and want to see it wiped off the face of the place. It's not about land. It's not about any of this nonsense that they push in this media, you know, the Western media, which is completely oblivious to the facts of what's actually happened there over the decades and decades and decades, right? Every war started in that area was started by Hamas or the people before them, the PLO, or any other previous Islamist group. And they are a prescribed terrorist group, okay? Hamas. That's what you're supporting. Modern day Yatzism, period. And for them to use that as a beating stick is so distasteful. It makes me so angry. I can never forgive RTD or this individual who wrote it. I mean, it's amazing that they managed to find something else to write about other than themselves. But you know,
it's baffling to me though that they pumped a lot of money into this, and all we're talking about is obviously what they were trying to do and convey to the audience, which is quite sickening, to be quite honest with you. But you know, again, just going back on the episode itself, I mean, this wasn't exciting on any level. It was a bore fest as usual. I didn't, there wasn't anything that stood out. As I said, the visuals maybe, but nothing. No actor or actress on that episode did themselves justice. And of course, Ryland's cameo was just as cringy as I thought it was going to be. Especially when he made that line about his career coming back from the dead, or whatever that line was. It was actually quite pathetic, to be honest. But Cinnamon, what did you think of this shit show? And I don't want to dwell on it too long, so we gone over a little bit, but I'll give you a chance to give your opinion on it. But I do want to move on to Ncuti and future of the show, because you know what, I can't, for the life of me, there's just nothing good about this episode that I can really talk about. And I don't think anybody on the panel has anything really good to say about this episode. I just thought it was, and I even remember mentioning, Jordan, the live reaction. I thought it was absolutely, boring, and it was disgusting what they were trying to do here with this. But what did you think of the Interstellar song contest?
Well, it's funny because all those points that Lee's just mentioned there, all those things he's mentioned, and yet when I go on Twitter or X, and I've got people coming to me and they say, "What agenda? What agenda does the showrunner have?" And I'm like, "Are you watching a different show?
Willful ignorance.
Are you
or tacit agreement? One
at a time.
It's not even a question of not. It's not even a question of disagreeing, or even if they said they like the agenda, but to outright say there's no agenda whatsoever, and yet there's all that you just highlighted there. To say that there's absolutely nothing, it is. But it's wishful thinking, and it's contradictory for a start, because either it's woke or it's not. Either it's progressive and it's pushing all these boundaries and breaking all these walls down, or it doesn't. Because again, I've had to send the same tweet to multiple people, highlighting, breaking down each episode and the themes of each episode. You can have metaphors, and I will say, I thought this particular episode had a metaphor. I guess it depends on your sensitivity to it. So obviously, I'm not Jewish myself. I don't know that many Jewish people in my personal life. My cultural, I guess, sensitivity to it won't be as high as to people perhaps such as yourself who can join the dots and can see things. Again, I didn't know about the horn reference until you've enlightened me about it. So now I know, whereas before I didn't. So when I'm watching it, I see. I mean, it wasn't as strong as I was expecting it to be. I thought it was going to be extremely on the nose with the whole trans thing. I mean, it wasn't, but again, the references about, or judging people, and there was the one guy, wasn't he, who was not the woman who cut the horns off, like her assistant. He was like spouting all this thing. Oh yeah, them people, yeah, they're like this and like that, and she kind of corrects him, and it's like, oh well, a lot of people say a lot of things about people they assume, and it was like, okay, well, I see what you're trying to say there. I mean, it's a bit like saying, well, what would you rather have, hemorrhoids or pass a kidney stone? I mean, neither's great. I mean, one's maybe perhaps worse than the other. I mean, I don't know. It was just shit. It's just that. It wasn't as bad as Lucky Day for me. I did find the pacing a little bit more flow. I thought there was more flow to it. Didn't find there was much. Again, I thought Lucky Day was nothing redeemable about that whatsoever. Again, I'm judging this episode purely on the actual episode itself, which is hard to do because it's written by someone so disgusting and so morally superior to me, and I can say that without a doubt. That someone like that shouldn't even be anywhere near Doctor Who, but purely on the work that they've produced, it was bad. It wasn't terrible. It didn't make me walk away from it wanting to rip my eyeballs out, but it certainly wasn't anything remotely amazing. Again, there was a few things that I did, the Ncuti thing. I know it's a bit of a stupid thing, but that got a reaction. I can believe Belinda getting worked up at the potential of being left in, it was realistic, I suppose. I think the guest stars are dating it as well. I said this, I think maybe in the group, but I can't see 40, 50 years from now people watching this episode looking at her thinking, who the hell is Rylan? It's dating the episode a bit.
Good point.
And to be honest, someone like Belinda, I think Thinking mentioned this in the group as well. I can't imagine someone like Belinda watching Eurovision. Someone of her personality, I can't imagine her watching something that's so quirky and upbeat and camp, for want of a better word, such as Eurovision. But so again, her coming out the TARDIS and is that Rylan? People, 20-year-old kids and 40, 50 years old. It's like, yeah, Ken Dodd was in Delta and the Bannerman, but he wasn't playing Ken Dodd. He was playing a different character. So I know who Ken Dodd is through that and people talking about it, but again, he wasn't playing himself. And I just feel like, too many guest characters, it breaks the immersion. And again, I'm like Graham Norton in it. And of course, the 15th Doctor went to Brighton Pride because, of course, it's just. And the torture scene as well. I mean, the actual act of the torture scene, him losing control isn't what bothered me, because we have seen, and I'm going to explain this, we've seen the Doctor in the Runaway Bride where he basically just drowned the whole family of the creatures, of the children that were in the big giant hole. We've seen moments like that, the Ninth Doctor nearly blew up the Dalek, but again, there was much more context to it. So we've seen moments similar to that. So the act of him getting angry isn't the issue I have. The issue I have is what this Doctor is. This Doctor is, it's funny, in the story and the engine, this Doctor talk about knowing vengeance, and he said to the boy, it's bitter and black. And so you preach about other people having vengeance and you know what it's like. Yeah, I'm not surprised you know what it's like, because you have it yourself. In Lucky Day, he doesn't talk Conrad down. He doesn't reason with him. He just abuses him, rather verbally, with a very passive-aggressive, threatening tone. It wasn't the Doctor speaking. Pete McTeague has clearly even said, no, it's basically what I wanted to say, which is, that's just, isn't that was rule 101, bad writing? If I wrote that at school, would my teacher not say, I don't want to hear what you want to say, I want to hear what your character wants to say. Sure, you're working out, things like that. So I don't want to hear what Pete McTeague wants to say. I want to hear what the Doctor has to say. And that wasn't a Doctor thing. And Rabbi made this point, and he provided some examples on his stream a couple of days ago of the 7th Doctor. Now, as we know, the 7th Doctor could be quite a, calculating, sometimes manipulative incarnation, usually for the right reasons. But it's like that scene in the Happiness Patrol where he talks the guy down from shooting him. Oh, it's so easy, isn't it? Taking a life taking life. It's not done in such a hateful tone. He's not abusing this person. He's not being cruel. He's just talking him down and getting him to actually think about the situation. Look at you. You're pointing a gun at me. It's so easy, isn't it? Well, go on then. Do it. Well, what's the matter? Can't you do it? It's challenging him. It's not being cruel. Whereas this Doctor, again, as much as I like him, and I've made no bones about that, but again, I will criticize when it's merited and needed. This episode, or particularly this season, and again, for all those points that Lee's mentioned against this sort of anti-white male, they showed it in the Robot Revolution. The villain there, Alan Budd, again, clearly the most stereotypical example of an incel, apparently. I say apparently because he didn't seem to hate women. He just seemed to be bratty, immature and controlling. A stupid kid, really, who needed a bit of guidance. But, he died and the Doctor laughed at it. Because, again, he's a white man, so, he would laugh at it. But if he was a black guy, he probably would be crying in tears. The second episode, Lux. I don't think there was too many examples in that, to be fair. And the third one, there probably is one, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. But in the third one, you had the Cassio, the guy, the toxic male who wanted to, assert his dominance, assert his authority. Lucky Day, of course, you had Conrad. Story and engine. I mean, the villain that time was a black guy, so of course, it's funny how in the end of that episode, the Doctor gives him a chance to redeem himself. He says, "This isn't how your story ends." He puts an arm around his shoulder, but he didn't put his arm around Conrad's shoulder. And arguably, if I'm following the logic, and again, story and engine was a pretty complex. I like to think Doctor Who, historically, it's always been for kind of smart, intelligent 12-year-olds or any age, but usually smart kids it's usually gravitated to, and I like to consider myself reasonably intelligent, and I have to say it required a few rewatches watching that episode, and if I'm getting this right, that that guy, the barbershop owner or the barber who wanted to destroy the gods. And by doing that, he'd have to sever all the links with the stories, but in doing that, would sever the links from the people he got those stories from, thus killing millions and millions of people. So again, he gets an arm around his shoulder and gets the chance to redeem himself, and handshake and a pat on the back, and he's saved. But yet, Kid in this episode is tortured with such a cruel maliciousness. And again, it's not so much the act; it's the reasons for doing it. We've all seen that. Again, we've seen the Doctor lose control, but it's the way he does it. It's never been cruel. It's never been with so much malice. It's never been.
Oh, he was loving it. He was loving it.
You can see the look on his face, and it's just the contradictory.
He was imagining he was imagining it was an Israeli Jew. That's why he's getting off on it.
Yeah, it baffles me how you could have, again, the barber in the previous episode who was about to cause us just as much damage, and he gets an arm around the shoulder, he gets a chance, he gets uplifted. Don't let this be how your story ends. What's your 6-word story going to be? This guy gets no chance to be redeemed, neither does Conrad particularly. None of these white villains, and again, a lot of this has been white villains, Conrad. And again, even in looks, there was a degree of racism in the 50s. Again, the Well again was probably the best out of the season, but again, even that couldn't be free of Duncan on toxic men trying to take control. Again, Lucky Day with Conrad. And of course, this one, I mean, God knows the next episode, because Conrad's back. So it's where the monsters. It's. I mean, we're going to change the topic now to the whole shooty stuff, but it's so disappointing to people like me. And I just think if you've disliked this era from day one and you were there from the start, like Balls Trickware and Jack, I think he called it as well. Those guys. Also, they won't enjoy that Doctor Who's in the state, but they don't take any pain from it as much as maybe I do, in the sense that they know it's going to be bad. They go into this knowing it, so they're not disappointed. Whereas when you got me, who actually has enjoyed some of it in quite a lot of parts,
and you're still hoping,
and then I'm the one that I get let down. It's a bit like it's like that's how I feel about Shooty sometimes. Like I generally, I don't say things just to be different and the odd one out.
I want to ask you a quick question. Here's a quick question. Now that you've been constantly let down, now, if the show does get saved, say without Disney Plus and all this, will you be more cautious going into a new season now because of what's happened with this era now? Because let's be honest, as you've mentioned, you have been quite optimistic and you've tried to give each episode a chance, and as you've said yourself, you've liked some things and you've hated some things. But you moving forward now, will you be a bit more like the Jacks and myself and the Ballstricks out there when we know it's going to be bad? Because in fairness, I did warn people as well. I did say after the first series that season 2 was not going to improve. If anything, he's going to double, triple, or quadruple down, and that's exactly what's happened. Will you be more optimistic or more cautious going forward now?
See, I don't know. I thought I was about this season because I said this after season 1. After the absolute disaster of an ending that whole story arc was. I mean, again, let's not forget how I don't think it's quite sunk in. Well, it has sunk in, but I think people have moved on from that. How shoddy and rushed and quite frankly unprofessional conclusion to that whole storyline actually was. And I said at the time, yeah, I'm not going to fall for the hyperbole of Russell anymore. And in fairness, I haven't. I've kind of largely ignored his comments. It'll be a hoot. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, of course you love it. I just sort of watch it and judge it for what it is. So, like I say, I said that last time. I mean, whether it continues, which, again, Dan has brokered that apparently season 3 will continue, just without Disney. I like to think I'll be a bit more, 2 seasons of experience should paint an idea of what the 3rd season will be like. I mean, God only knows. I mean, if it is, again, like Dan and as broke as well, if this is to be Ncuti's last story, and they go forward with a new actor or actress, whoever it'll be, if it'll be, then it's almost like starting again. It is annoying. Like I say, it's frustrating when, again, especially when people like Ncuti are doing such, quite frankly, pathetic and childish, pedantic things. Like, again, 2 minutes after Eurovision got to the final and he drops out because he just can't bring himself to say the word Israel. It's just, I mean, grow up. Yeah. Let's be honest, grow up.
Yeah. Right, one more question, and goes to all the panel on obviously the if you want to call it a mid-credit scene, but like I thought you were trying to be clever and they failed spectacularly. Because obviously, while watching the episode, I went into the credits and I was like, what's going on here? I even say, Joby Live, what's going on here? Hold on, there's something missing here. And then obviously, I went to the scene with Mrs. Flood coming out of the chamber, asking if the doctor was gone. And then we got a reveal, which was obviously a rumor, which turned out to be true. But I have to ask you all on the panel, because this is another thing that I don't like about RTD, and I didn't like about Chris Chibnall, especially, was this whole obsession with trying to change canon or to or what would you add on to canon, or whatever you want to call it. I call it destroying canon, basically. So it was revealed, obviously, there was a boy generation that happened, and of course, it was revealed that the Rani is back in Doctor Who. Not only did we get the Susan cameo, we also got the Rani returning to Doctor Who. And so that I noticed as well. I got a bit of criticism on X for saying this, but it's actually true. What is the big deal with RTD by generating a white person into a DEI hire? Right.
Well, that's what I saw someone else mention as well. It's like they wouldn't change. They won't have the Rani. Well, they wouldn't have Anita Dobson bioregenerate into a man, because you wouldn't have the Rani be a man, because what would be the point of that character? You would just have another character at that point. So you won't regenerate. You won't change the Rani, but you'll change the Doctor.
But they did change the Rani as well, didn't they?
Yeah, go ahead, Robert. What did you think about that reveal?
Well, the reveal, the way that Ronnie bi-generated and Susan were only the two interesting things about the episode across the series. Really, the clues of what way he's thinking. Quickly, I want to just say about Susan. I think because it's in his mind, it might be something to do with it not being a real world, and she's calling from the other real world. But with the Rani, because when the new Rani came out, she was all assertive, and the Dobson Rani was all meek and subordinate, like with Ncuti and the Tennant cast off. It makes me think that they're trying to suggest that there's a split in personalities with the mild and the assertive type, which makes me think that in the future they'll be bringing them back together again to close the loop, sort out what happened. And the loop started by the toy maker, which they're living in this alternative reality created by the toy maker, and Susan's trying to kind of connect them from the outside to try and get the thing back together. So that's the only beneficial thing of By Generation, is that it's suggesting that it's all, for the last 2 series, has been one big fantasy alternative reality thing, which is very contrived, and for the average viewer, they'd be left scratching their head if they've seen enough of the episodes for it to make a difference. But again, some people have said, oh, they changed it to an Asian Rani because Rani's an Asian word. Well, doctor's an Italian word originally, so did they have to have an Italian doctor now the next time around just because the word is the same? You know, I mean, that's not the way language works, you know. So Rani was one of the children that in Sarah Jane Adventures too. So is she secretly one of the Ranis? I mean, you can have a name, but you don't have to be the same thing, you know. But hopefully they'll not. Oh, that's the other thing. The Rani is just a rebellious Time Lord who is very selfish and loves a bit of an experiment, and doesn't care about the Doctor or anything like that, like we saw in the Mark of the Rani. She didn't.
Well, here's the thing, Robert, on that. Just to let you know, there's a rumor, right? Now, normally I don't give credence to rumors, but because it's the same person that has basically been right about everything, this should be taken seriously. So apparently it's going to be written, right? Because we got 2 episodes to go. The Timeless Child is going to be cemented in the next 2 episodes. Also, on top of that, it turns out that the Doctor and the Rani are going to be proper relations. Apparently, it's going to be the Doctor's sister. So I wanted to ask you on that. How do you feel about them doing that?
Well, it's again, it's quite contrived, isn't it? Because if that's the case, we've got the Doctor who went to university with his sister and some might say his brother, the Master, or not, whatever the fashionable theory is. And then you got the other things people are saying, then there's photographs of them with a baby, and who's the baby, and who's Poppy, the Doctor, and the Timeless Child, and all. This is a symptom of the mess that they've made for themselves. They've just taken a ball of wool and tangled it all up, given it to a cat for a few weeks, and then once it's been spat out the other end, or pulled from, swallowed and popped out the other end. That's what the story is. They're trying to untangle now. It's just they've created a. It's like an explosion of loose ends, you know. It's getting ridiculous, you know. You've got.
It's like they're going to go at the end of it and say, "Yeah, it all didn't happen. It all doesn't matter. What are you complaining for? Everything you just saw is undone."
If they did that sort of, it was all a fantasy universe and it was all a dream. That would be something you could close the book on and move on, couldn't you? But if they're going to say, well, this links with a Timeless Child and this baby, so where does the baby come from? You know, did they just eat in a box or something? You know,
I've always said, if how they could fix the Timeless Child is so easy. They could just say it was a Master. I've always said it makes far more sense for it to be the Master.
The
Master, historically, throughout the show, has always been treated like the black sheep. Has always been treated differently. Has always been jealous of the Doctor. The Doctor at the Academy was always seen as the top teacher's pet, even though academically the Master was better, you know, academically than the Doctor was, getting higher test scores and all that, that extra hidden lore. You know, the Master's always been, you know, I mean, the Doctor's the Time Lord's never been particularly a massive fan of the Doctor. They've always seen him as a little bit of a pain in the arse, but he was a useful pain in the arse. They'd use him to get him to do missions, whereas the Master wasn't controllable. Whereas at least to some degree the Doctor was, in that sense. And it's just you've always had the Master being rejected or thrown out. I mean, like even again in what was the End of Time, Rassilon himself even put the 4 drums in his head, the 4 drum beat, basically driving him insane, calling him a disease of their own making. So that, again, no particular love. So imagine if you're the Master, and you found out that not only have your own race basically rejected you and knocked you down at every opportunity. But you then find out that you're the whole reason that race exists in the first place. You're going to be a bit pretty fucked off. If you're the master, you'd be like, hang on, my DNA, I was experimented on as a child. I'm the whole reason, Time Lord, Gallifreyan society even exists. I should be like the High King.
And that would
Gallifrey.
be the tragedy of it, wouldn't it? That would be a tragedy. Yeah.
He could have avoided.
He could have avoided all of that. He could have had so much more, and ended up with being vilified and going crazy. Yeah.
I feel like that would have justified, I feel like that would have made more sense for the Master to destroy Gallifrey in a genocide. Oh, right, so you've denied me my heritage, my rightful heir to be Rassilon, or the president, Lord President of Gallifrey. So, and you're going to reject me now after all these years? I'll just wipe you all out. Then, if I made you, I'll destroy you, rather than just destroying a whole planet just because he's got a little bit of the Doctor inside him, someone he kind of likes. There's a love-hate relationship. It's just a bit. I've always felt that made far more sense, and it would completely undo all. Unless there's some sort of. I mean, I thought about this quite a lot, and I don't notice any sort of plot hole that I've left out. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to cover all bases. At least then it'd be generally accepted more. I feel, wouldn't it?
I just don't see how. I mean, it's just rehashing an old idea, like the final game with the Third Doctor and the Master, discovering that they're brothers and.
I mean, I know people might look down at, it makes the Master too important. I get that, and okay, it would change the Master.
Well, it's better than making the Doctor.
Most people would rather be him than the actual protagonist.
Being the central thing and being the most important, bestest, or whateverest in the entire history of Gallifrey. No,
but it doesn't. But as far as the Rani being his sister is concerned, that directly goes against the Timeless Child thing, because it was a single person found at the bottom of a swirly thing by the bestest scientist ever.
And why would they not? I mean, if Time Lords can recognize each other just by looking at each other or sensing it or whatever, or knowing something. I mean, if they were related, surely that psychic connection would be so much stronger.
Well, if the Rani never changed from female,
ever inferred in the history of the Rani's appearances that there was anything that they even knew one another. It's just nonsense. It's
well, it depended on some fan fiction. It's
fan wank.
That were even I think the Doctor. I can't remember where it was on. The Doctor Who wasn't a Wikipedia, but it was on the fan version of it. It was something I read somewhere. Again, it was just probably, Virgin New Adventure, some extended lore. I don't think it's generally considered canon, but there's a lot of work out there that suggests that the Doctor and the Rani and the Master were friends at the Academy, and the Doctor had a crush on the Rani.
It's the same people who write pornographic bloody, fan stories, with the Master and the Doctor and all that. It's I don't want fan wankery in the show. I just want consistently good, interesting stories, and the characters to have their own independent arcs without having to be this soap opera or this space opera.
Nothing new though, is it? It's just all talk about.
Really tired, and I'm just look. The whole problem started with Missy. I liked Missy as a character, but the more I see this going on, and especially with the Rani, if the Rani had regenerated or bi-generated, God forbid, into a man, which it never has done before. We've never seen that on the screen before. Just saying, for equality there, Russell. But how would that have been any different a character than the Master? It would have been pretty similar. And that's the whole point of the Rani, a female kind of Master. And that's why people said if Missy had been the Rani, that would have made more sense. But of course, now that they've made everything so bloody ambiguous, and so everything and anything goes. Well, it becomes an amorphous blob. It just becomes meaningless. You've got a character now that cannot stand on her own 2 feet because she has to be the sister of the Doctor to get more importanter. more important and more bigger and more exciting and more. But it shows you've got no faith in the original character at all. And the fact that you have to bring in the Rani and immediately she's Asian, therefore she's the definite article, so to speak. And the former Rani is inferior and treated like subservient, and she acts all subservient, like the Doctor did, like the 15th Doctor did to Ncuti Gatwa. You know, it was just this kind of I give up. I resigned.
With the by generation, the 15th Doctor, when they went to live with the nobles, isn't really the 15th Doctor anymore. It's a similar looking by generation version of the 15th Doctor, isn't it?
As I said last week, though, I think this whole by generation to me proves that this particular era of Doctor Who is in its own little universe, and it's not part of the original.
Well, someone on Sensesphere said that it was because the Rani was into biology, that this was a biological experiment to get more the Doctor's regeneration energy or something. I don't know.
Well, no, it started with the Toy Maker, didn't it? The first by generation, which
that's the question, isn't it? No, how is is it assault? I mean. In Wild Blue Yonder was all that pissing about the salt. Let myths at the end of the universe creep in. I mean, that was always kind of my headcanon, was all those myths and legends crept into reality.
It's the Goldstaxer.
And let the Doctor basically bioregenerate, because apparently to the Doctor, bioregeneration was like an old myth that was, rumoured, and then apparently it happened. But then how is it affecting the Rani now? Is she now got caught in the way?
If she's the one who's
does this now affect all Time Lords that are out there? I mean, I thought again.
Well, if she's the one who's engineered it, right?
Right.
Then how is it? Like, did she create the myth in the past? Surely the Gallifreyans would have learned that and would have known that, because they were wiped out by the Master off screen. So who knows? Maybe they're not so powerful.
You know what that means as well. Tectoyum and the Timeless Children or Timeless Child nonsense is obviously part of this as well. Is she some relation of the Rani? Also,
the secret daughter.
If you remember, the child that was left abandoned was a black child as well, and there's a black baby in the season finale that's supposed to be rumored to be the Timeless Child. So is this going to loop back to that whole episode? You know what I mean? Is that where we're going to go now?
This is the issue when it's getting too clever for itself. Again, I'm all for pushing, new ideas, but these aren't new ideas. I mean, again, the Master being the Doctor's brother. I mean, that is like wilderness level of.
It's so contrived.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really particularly want the Rani to be
no
the Doctor's sister, because again, it's not done. I mean, I think I'd rather that than the Master being the Doctor's brother, because
it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
There's no need for
no connection to it other than the fact that she's a renegade Time Lord. Oh, because it's another renegade Time Lord, obviously they're related.
Well, I agree with that. That's why I didn't like the whole.
I don't think they should do that.
That's why I didn't like the whole the War Chief being the Master that they tried to intimate. It reduces the world and makes it smaller. Oh, just because
he's symptomatic of the entire production's mindset, right? They're fans who, I say they're fans. I think that they are just a hierarchy of fans who think they know better than everyone else.
Yeah,
and they're going to invest their ideas on Doctor Who so they can immortalize themselves and say, well, we were the ones who made canon in our image, so therefore you can't argue with it. It's real now. It's our idea, and it's now the de facto Doctor Who law. And it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
Right, let's because I want to move on to Ncuti and the future of the show, because that'll be more entertaining than this. But before we do, I'm going to get you to try and rate this particular story. Again, for me, I'm just going to be out straight with you. I can't rate this at all because it's not Doctor Who as far as I'm concerned. And, good visuals or great visuals is not going to sway me. Neither is the Susan cameo, even though I will admit I did love it. not the actual scene, but I love the fact that it just happened to be this era, and I hate that. I hate it for that because you know.
Do you know what's interesting, Noel? Do you know what's really interesting?
What?
Out of all the stories, out of all the years, out of all the time they could have brought Susan back, Caroline Ford, a Jewish actress, being put into this show, which is clearly anti-Semitic. It's perverse on so many levels. I can't even begin to express how upsetting this is to me. But that was a very noticeable thing to me. Out of all the stories they could have introduced,
I thought that too. Yeah.
This one.
No, was it Five Doctors? Was that our last on-screen appearance? You know, it's been over 2-3 decades. Out of all the stories, you know, New Who,
she'll be back.
2000,
you know what?
2005 onwards.
Sorry,
any episode they could have picked, and it was this one.
Ted, get away from there. There's a football match on. Of course, you're going to back.
So this must make her at least the longest returning character.
Well, has to be, because wasn't he? What's his face when he returned
in March?
Yeah. So obviously she's returned now, so she takes that top spot now, and for that, and it's for that reason, it's the only reason why I kind of did like the cameos. The fact that if anybody did deserve to come back to Doctor Who, it was Carol Ann Ford. But I will say, the caveat is, I just wish I hadn't have been this era. You know, Moffat could have brought her back. You know, even RTD1, he could have brought her back. I found some way to bring her back, but he brings her back now. And the only reason why
too many,
as you have made the point, and Lee has made the point clear, it is the fact that she was a Jewish actress, and this was him, you know, and Jimmy D, you know, basically putting a message out there, which I think is disgusting. But you know, for me, I can't rate this, and even with the Susan cameo, and you know, look, it was nice to see her again. I hope, just for me personally, I hope she got paid a shit ton of money for it, because if anybody deserves it, it is her. But the context of why they brought her back is disgusting, in my opinion. So I'm not rating this. I'm not going to be rating the season finale either. There's no point of me telling you guys I'm going to rate it. I can't rate this because this isn't Doctor Who, and it never will be, right? This is like a bad version of Bad Robot RTD is trying to do with this show. He's trying to make it different so he can get away with a lot of things that he's getting away with. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. You know, Doctor Who now is at a point where it does need to go away, but it looks like BBC are going to stick with it, which baffles me, to be quite honest with you. You know, why would you want to continue to destroy the show? I mean, look, I will be surprised if they get rid of RTD. I will be. And if they do, then they have a fighting chance. Once there's nobody that has worked on this show before, if they bring in new blood, well, then I will have a little bit of optimism. For the simple fact is, it's new blood, and it's someone that's not connected to any of the old New Who eras that have came before. But I don't see them doing that. I see them maybe even going with Pete McTeague or someone like that. You know, if they do that, then what's the point?
They're gearing up for Juno, aren't they?
But here's the thing. Well, imagine if Juno Dawson got it. Anyway, but we won't get into that. So I'll ask you our ratings because I want to move on. We're now on 25 minutes talking about this shit show episode, and I can't talk about it anymore. So Robert, I'll start with you. What would you give it out of 10 if you are going to give it a rating?
Well, I'm tempted to give it 10 to the minus 3 out of 10, but just for the one or two 5 minutes worth of plot, which moved things along, but I have to give it a 0. There's no, like you say, it's not Doctor Who. It besmirched a lot of characters. It was scientifically incompetent and illiterate. And for a sci-fi show, it's not a sci-fi show. It's a series, a fantasy of a certain about 10 people in the BBC and Bad Wolf. So 0 out of 10, folks. 0 points.
Lee.
Well, because I'm clearly an uppity Jew, therefore I've rigged the entire voting system, like like Eurovision, allegedly. Did you see that? And now they're going around saying Israel.
Pathetic.
They would, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
You
because
rigged
they publicised for everyone to vote, so they did.
What about
Like,
Ukraine the
there
other
must be
year
some
then?
Alien Jew space laser mind control machine or something. But never mind that other countries did exactly the same fucking thing. But never mind.
Ukraine.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, obviously nil point, because fuck you, Russell T Davis. Fuck you, James Dawson, you piece of shit. And all of you fuckers can go fuck yourselves. You're an
Slay
evil
Queen.
bunch of fucks. I hate you.
Kicks.
I hope you fuck off and you never come back to this show. You do not deserve it. You're evil trash.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You put yourself in this shroud of virtue when you are the most vile, narcissistic pieces of crap I've ever endured. And your ideology stinks to high heaven. And my God, fucking strike you down in some way when it comes to your sick ideology, your belief that you're above everyone else. You're an elite that knows better than everyone else. The Jews are controlling the world and doing evil things and committing acts of genocide. The same kind of shit we heard from the bad guys in Germany in the 1930s. They were socialists too. Did you know that? I just want to. I'm so angry with this. The fact that they would sink so low as to use Doctor Who, of all things, a unifier, a story of a madman in a box traversing time and space and having adventures and pulling in families to watch it and enjoy it, and it's fun and it's entertaining, and you got Monsters of the Week, and it's innocent and pure and beautiful. All the things Millie Gibson said it was, but it isn't. It's hateful, it's bigoted, it's racist, it's evil. And it's nasty. It's so nasty, and I cannot give any credence to this corporate cocksucking motherfucking piece of shit that this is endemic of how corporatized and soulless and mean-spirited that this piece of shit is. And may it just fuck off into a black hole and never be seen again. It is nasty. Nasty, and I want it to fuck off. I want RTD to fuck off. I want Ncuti Gatwa to fuck off. You racist piece of shit. I want you all to fuck off. You don't deserve Doctor Who. It's so much better and bigger than you pieces of shit.
Yeah.
James Duno actually opened his eyes and was talking about it on his Instagram, and he kept piping up and trying to say how Doctor Who's always been woke and all the happiness patrol, and it was so visibly triggered by the fact that someone like the Telegraph was obviously must have said something. This individuals were clearly rattled.
Give your rating anyway. Cinnamon, your rating.
Oh, I thought it meant Lee's rating. But you'd probably say about mine.
I think you got my rating.
We can guess.
You can garner that from
out of 10, yeah?
Yeah,
sounds like it. Yeah, no, that's Lee's, yeah. 9 out of 10. I would say, well, I give Lucky Day, I think, a 2. So, do you know what? Fuck it, just give it a 0. I mean, I can't see myself.
No, don't let the evil Jew they control the votes. They
control
like
you Jew.
I don't want to
yeah, it's getting a 0 because you know what? Like I said, as a story, it didn't bore me to tears like Lucky Day did, but it's not even the quality of the script. It's beyond that now, because again, every review that we've done on here, we've not really touched upon the script as much. It's always the external factors like this, and understandably so that we talk about them, because there's such a massive problem. You know, again, they say to us, Millie Gibson, you know, I mean, she's young, so I try and just give her some benefit of the doubt, but it to some degree. She's not that much younger than me, so relative degree. But she says, "Oh, just get over it." Well, how about you get over it using our show to promote and push your agenda?
Get over
and yet, again, I've got people telling me,
get over the fact it's racist. Get over the fact that it hates white men. Get over the fact it's LGBT supremacist and wants to, interfere with the minds of your kids. Yeah, just get over that. Just get over the anti-Semitism. Get over it.
Yeah, I'll just get over the,
fuck off.
The hatred of.
And I'll say another thing. Jack said something interesting to me actually earlier on. He said, it's like they did what cults do. They use symbolism, the horns and all that shit. It's like what cults do. They sort of signal to each other, wink, wink. Oh, put in the one eye here, or the horns there, or the nudge, nudge there. And it's exactly that. It is a behavior of a cult, and we know they're a cult.
Well, that's what I said in the private chat. Is that it is targeted bullying, a targeted offence, because they know that most people wouldn't know the offensive thing part of it, but the people who want to offend or hurt feelings of would know it. So
and when we call it out, people look at us and go, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Well, because
as a non-Jew, I have to say the whole white anti-white people. That's parking that aside for just a moment. I haven't seen on when it comes to these issues, I haven't seen this production team so clearly one-sided and against a whole group as they have been against the Jewish community. Again, I can't imagine. I generally, like, for the Jewish fans out there, like, and then Ollie, you have it in your family, and you got it with Rabbi as well. For the Jewish fans out there, and particularly the ones that live in this country, seeing your lead actor of your favorite TV show so openly promoting, free Palestine, and on his Instagram story, this link, that link to this charity for this aid and this aid.
And in the
stop the genocide.
And in the previous bloody story, banging on about feeling safe and racism because of his skin color. Try being a Jew in London, fucker. Try being a Jew in London on a Saturday afternoon.
Or New York.
Or New York currently, yeah. Yeah, you try that. Yeah, and then tell me about how you feel safe. Yeah, I'm sure you feel safe.
And they deny everything that they see in front of their own eyes, right? We've seen that people are just blinded by hatred, unfortunately. And as long as they're still around, which I doubt, which brings me into the nice little segue, it's been reported that Ncuti Gatwa has left the building. Not a moment too soon, I've got to be quite honest with you. After the Space Babies, I received some information. I actually did a video on it at the time that Ncuti Gatwa's behaviour was inappropriate during that episode when they were shooting that. I was criticised by people for making up lies and stuff like that. I don't make up lies. I'm given information and I pass it on, just like a lot of other people that are in the know. They pass on information. But I'm not surprised that he is gone because he's doing the play. So, there was always questions about
what is it, Schindler's List?
Future. The news has been confirmed by the Sun newspaper that Ncuti Gatwa will be departing the show. And I want to ask you guys what you all think about that news. And also we're going to talk about the future. So apparently Doctor Who will go on a bit of a break until 2027. Of course, we've spoke about it on this channel since last year. Dan has spoke about it as well, and many others in the know have also said this. The one thing that is true, it looks like Disney Plus is out, like we all said, so vindicated again. But I'd like to ask is, does this show now have a future? Because I have to say, after the Interstellar Song Contest, I would personally say that I don't think that this show has a future. I think too much damage has been done, especially at this season. Now, I did see someone say, Chris Chibnall did the damage and it's been limping on ever since. Yeah, but there still was a chance of rescuing the show, believe it or not. But I think this particular era has put paid to that now. I think it's
Well,
done.
Chibnall put the show in the ICU or in the critical care unit, and Russell is pulling life support.
Crematorium. Yeah.
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 I also forgot one thing as well. That Juno, as well, on the many things that he's blurted out of his ass, also said that Doctor Who promotes Q word and tolerance. So again, to those Jews, and do you feel tolerated?
Well, hold on a minute. Never mind that. Okay, you want to free Palestine? You see what happens when they free Palestine, right? From the river to the sea. Do you know which river, which sea that is? That covers the entire area of Israel. So you're effectively calling for the genocide of the Jews. And if you want to be a queer for Palestine, go to Palestine and be a queer for Palestine. See, they have beautiful views on the rooftops that they would be glad to show you. That's what will happen to you. All right. And Israel, the only beacon of democracy in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, has the largest pride march in the fucking world. So take that way how you want to take that. Either way, fine. If you want to see rights of gay people and rights of Jews to live, just live, then yeah, go free Palestine. Yeah, that's what it will bring: death and destruction to every single Jew in that country, which would be more than half of the entire Jewish population in the world gone. And history will look to you, and you will be reminded of that. I'm just telling you that. So I just want to talk about the Ncuti Gatwa's, reported. I find it laughable that this is just like come out of thin air. And you know what? It just seems so contrived.
Again,
because
as well.
On the 8th of January, on this channel, I was on this stream with you, Noel, with Matt, with Charlotte, Jack, and we talked about what my source told me, that Ncuti Gatwa had packed his bags and fucked off, that he was gone. This was on the 8th of January, and that Disney were out. And now, all of a sudden, Ncuti Gatwa may have left because blah, blah, blah. And allegedly because he pulled out of the Eurovision. I don't believe that for a second. Do not believe that for a second. He was gone months ago, folks. And this reason that is being touted out, I have two sneaky suspicions, right? One, his agent got ahead of this and said he was sacked because of his decision not to host the Eurovision votes in order for his fan base to martyr him, to make him look like the good guy against the evil bastards who sacked him, right?
You think he's blacklisted today? There's rumours that he's going to be blacklisted, that Ncuti is going to be blacklisted in the UK. Should he be blacklisted? Because let's remember that another actor that played the role of the Doctor was blacklisted for years in Christopher Eccleston.
No one should be blacklisted. I'll make this abundantly clear. I don't like his politics at all. I think he's a shit actor, and I've made no bones about it. But should he be prevented from working? No, let the market decide. He's got his audience. Let him have his audience. They're idiots, but go for it. I don't care. But if you're going to say shit about racist shit about Jews, I'm going to call it out. And I think the more people hear about it, the more people can make an informed decision whether or not they want to support you, quite honestly. But I still think that either this was his agent getting out ahead of it being released officially. So this was like leaked through the press, right? Which is what an agent would do, use the press in order to garner publicity for their client. This is 101 shit, folks. So the agent would call all around the paper saying, "Oh, source says that Ncuti Gatwa was fired because there's these people who are like, pro-Israel or something, or the Jews got him out of the
They're blaming the Jews again, right?
That's what it is. I'm telling you, it's either that or flip that on the other side. I'm hedge my bets and say this was leaked out in order to cover for anything else that went on. So
well,
it
it's all
makes it
about
cleaner.
reclaiming the narrative, isn't it? So I'm not
It's
surprised
reclaiming
that
the narrative. It
the
could be-
BBC are going to wait for something, because again, this is old news, like you said.
Yeah, this is
You know, I
old
remember
news.
Charlotte talking about it months and months and months, and Dan talking about
Well,
months
Charlotte was
ago.
talking
The
about-
Deadline article.
Yeah. Wait. Let's be clear here, right? On the 8th of January this year, I came out and said that Ncuti had gone. And remember, that's what caused all the rift between you and a certain other channel, right? Because I dropped that before most people did. I'm pretty damn sure of that. And you can go and
No,
try
you
and look
did,
it up.
because as soon as you dropped that, then I had the other fella who has lied constantly in this fandom about being correct about stuff, went on the attack that night.
Yeah, I don't want to go over all that again. What I want to say is that this is old news to me. This was confirmed to me by my source, and that Disney were out, and that Ncuti Gatwa was out. He was outed. Okay, maybe not the best term to use, but he was thrown out. I assumed it was because he wanted to. He saw the reaction and wanted to get out because of his career, but no, he was kicked out. Whether or not it was because he had a beef with RTD, we see that's happened before, haven't we? So that could be the case. But I think as well, Disney were not happy with his casting choice from the beginning, because they had their own person that they wanted in, and RTD decided to go with Gatwa instead of their choice. And when people say, "Oh, Disney didn't have any say in anything," yes, they do. They were an investor. Investors have every right to make suggestions, especially when it comes down to Disney. Disney, you know, always have influence and control over anything that they're connected to. You better believe it. So
well, there was that rumor that Dan mentioned that, you know, he was growing disenfranchised within the role, and there was the one about, again, a couple of weeks ago, when, because this is now the second time that all the articles have been clampering on it. Because the first time they were talking about that perfume advert that he couldn't do, and again, apparently he was pissed off that he wasn't allowed to go and do that, whether that was true or not. But like, it's almost like every other week for the past, again, you said it as well, we've been hearing so many different things, and now they're all just all of a sudden catching up.
Well,
As we said again, we've seen for months that there's been multiple things. There was the perfume debacle. There was, he's grown disenfranchised within the role, and all this and that, and, you know, talks about fallouts and this, and going off to a Hollywood because he wants to be, you know, the next big thing. Which, I mean, I think only he thinks that. You know, all this nonsense, all this noise. That's just out there.
I think my opinion of the way it's happened is that they've let this be publicized as a reason for him leaving now, so that they can say, all right, we can't have a Doctor Who next year straight away, so we'll have to find the right person to replace him, and so we'll be caught on a hop. It's his fault. We'll have to have a break, so that's why we're having a break. It's not because we're not popular. It's not because we made rubbish Doctor Who. Then it is Ncuti Gatwa's fault. And we're sorry, British public, but we're doing our best. We're so keen to get a good actor now. We're going to take a break and look around and everything else.
Books will be written about all this, and all this shit will come out eventually.
Yeah,
we'll all be shown to have been right eventually. Take the shit in this, you know, the small term, but over the long term, yeah, it's going to come out, and we will be vindicated. I stand by that. And the person who would have had the role if it wasn't for Ncuti Gatwa and RTD doing this and leading to the absolute shit show we've had, if we would have stuck with the original plan, maybe better writing for this guy because he was a big name, things would have been.
I'm still surprised by that, by the way. The missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's not
unbelievable.
And by the way, guys, Lee can't say anything, but all I'll just say is that when you do find out who the person was, you're not only going to be shocked, right? But you're going to be, your mind is going to boggle on why they went with Ncuti Gatwa. Well, it's obvious they went with Ncuti Gatwa because Sugar Daddy RTD wanted this bit of fluff around. And that's the way I'll put it. But this is like I'm pissed at all of this. If Doctor Who has a future, yeah, then I would just say that the actor that they had in mind, I would seriously say to BBC, you fucked them over once. If you want to make it right, make amends, I would hire this guy to play the role. Obviously, if you're bringing in new people, fresh blood, obviously, if you've got the same old shit running the show, then forget about it, because again, this is where I stand. The Doctor Who's not going to be able to move forward or get any better if it sticks with RTD. And apparently, he's mentioned this a few times, that he has been writing scripts, right? And I have to say, I think it'd be the biggest mistake that BBC could make is keeping RTD on board. Maybe BBC's thinking is they can't get anybody else.
It is a big mistake, and the biggest mistake is that another actor or actress, I should say, has been cast as the next Doctor, and that for me is more. They would rather die on that hill and be. And watch the ratings fall through the floor than ever admit that what they're doing sucks. Right? They can never be wrong. We are all evil bigots, according to them. The cult must thrive, must survive. I'll be seeing you. It's they are so ideologically possessed to the point of absurdity. They are making the most absolutely insane decisions that just are remarkable to me, that the BBC can put this out and not feel that they are on a sinking ship, because RTD, even though the damage was done during Chibnall's run, this is another level of damage. This is worse. Yeah. Far worse. It's reckless. Worse in terms of the writing and the terrible acting decisions and all the rest of it. But it's so mean-spirited and nasty. Yeah. It's the nastiness. And people have not... They think the audience is so stupid. This is how stupid they think the audience is, right? This is how stupid... They have to explain to you in exposition every 5 minutes what's happening on the fucking screen, because they don't think you have the attention span to follow it. And seemingly they might be right in some cases, but that's like the whatever's left of the idiot fan base that's still fucking giving this any credence. But it's forever devolving into the most stupefying experience you could ever experience. It's so stupid. And it's stupid for a reason. It's not because they themselves are stupid particularly, but because they think you are stupid. And they want to bring in the dumbest motherfuckers possible, because they're the easiest to manipulate and to get them whipped up, because they feel included, because stupid people must feel included too, because then we can make them buy our shit. That's what it is. Not because it's a virtue, but because they want the audience that are the most easier to control. We're curmudgeonly bastards, and we know what's what. We also happen to be the ones with the disposable income, but they want to dispose of us. So therefore, you're disposing of your income. And don't forget who fucking paid for you, who paid your wages, Russell, who paid your wages. And it's us. And you're treating us like we don't matter, like we're evil, we're scum, we're this, we're that. And you're going to lecture us because you're our moral superiors or something. No, you're not. When you immoral arseholes think you have the moral high ground, go fuck yourself. You're not.
That's
and your next series of Doctor Who, which may or may not be back in 2027, like they said in 1989, Doctor Who will be back in 5 years. How did that work out? Just saying.
No, but you see, here's the thing, Lee, with this is I've been told, I don't know if you've been told the same thing, but BBC did want this era to succeed. Obviously, it hasn't.
Yeah, of course they did.
Right? But BBC do want this show to be successful. And this is what's baffling to me. We can tell you the mistakes that you are making and why it's not successful, but you're listening to the wrong side. You need to be
here's how you fix it, BBC. If you want Doctor Who to be successful, do what Eccleston said. Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack the fucking lot of them.
Yeah.
And go with someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. If you want Doctor Who to survive and to bring in those millions of views and millions of pounds in merchandise and blah, 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 and whatever else you want, you need to let this rest. You need it to, in order for people to forget the bad and miss the good. That's the only way Doctor Who survives. The more you allow this utter fat Welsh arsehole, sorry, no offense to Welsh people, fat Welsh arsehole.
That's all right. We say the same thing here.
This parochial piece of flint out of my belly button that thinks he's a fucking genius and tells you as much in every fucking interview possible.
Ooh, how marvelous! Ooh,
yeah. And he said, like, he spent his entire career telling people to fuck off. Well, how about this, Russell? You need to fuck off. Take your retirement check, take your gold watch, take your gold Dalek, piss off, give someone else a chance outside of that Fitzroy clique, because you're all a bunch of cunts. Sorry. But you are. And you all need to go away.
You're right. This is what you're absolutely right. You mentioned it. You've been mentioning it, throughout this whole panel reviews that we've been doing. We need someone that's outside of that circle to move Doctor Who forward. But Christopher,
Charlotte just says they want this new younger audience. Yes, they do. But how do you get that younger audience? Because what you're doing now to try and get that younger audience is not working. I'll tell you how you get the younger audience, Russell. It's very simple. You appeal to the parents. You appeal to the grandparents. And it's them who bring in the younger audience, because when the show is good and it's suitable for children, they will bring them in to watch it like they have done for 60 fucking years.
Are you telling me that all these grandparents don't want to sit down with their grandchildren and watch Rogue or watch an episode written by a known groomer?
Family. They want to destroy it. They want to bring in this new Q era. Well, funny, darling, sweetheart, it doesn't work that way. And we're not a monolith.
They need to make it something that the young people are not ashamed of admitting to watch.
Everyone's ashamed to admit they're watching because they know the response they're going to get.
Well, the funny thing is, as a kid during the Matt Smith era, I was always I had that feeling too of admitting I was a Doctor Who fan. Much of what I say now, and it was good back then.
Yeah, I got beat up for it.
You can't get a young audience by making it cringe.
And it's cringe.
They're very at that age. They're very susceptible to feeling embarrassed.
What was it? Starry-eyed girl's son said, "Oh, do you want to watch something? No, it's a bit too gay."
Well, here's the thing: this particular era, RTD's era, is going to age. It's already aged badly. I mean, you look at the 4 seasons; it's already aged.
My point is, it's incredibly dated. Imagine in 40, 50 years' time, the Pertwee era, the 70s, 50 odd years ago now. And imagine that time, imagine 40, 50 years from now, people watching this episode. I can't begin to imagine what the world would be like then.
It's like watching an MC Hammer music video. It's so era specific, isn't it? You can tell.
I can't wait for people to like. I mean, I like to think I'll still be around in 40 years' time, but it's.
I wouldn't.
It's just I can't imagine the world then and how it's going to look back at this era. And it's funny because if the pendulum swings.
I don't think anybody be looking back at this era of cinema. I think this is gonna be
about
a forgotten era.
Like this isn't obviously. I know this isn't a memorable episode of any stretch, but it's like, can you just think for a moment about what it's going to be like in 50 years' time when people. Surely, whether Doctor Who even exists in whatever shape or form.
It's the fact that they are dumbing the audience down on purpose.
Not just Doctor Who, but just this cultural era that we live in now. When people look back at this time.
Down. They're saying, because young people are this way, that way, and everything's defined for them. All the parameters are set in place, and you cannot escape that prison that they've put you in. They're saying to young people today, you are a habitual phone user. You're constantly online. You can't think for yourself. You must believe what we tell you. You've got the attention span of a gnat, so we're going to write like you're an idiot, and you're going to buy it, and you're going to love it. And if you say anything, we'll tell you to shut up. That is not future-proofing your TV show.
Well, the good thing is
not doing it.
The good thing is the youngsters aren't like that, are they? They're not so stupid as they seem, are they?
They're not stupid. They're not dumb, and they're not going to fall for your crap.
What I think they need to do is obviously have a break, get rid of all the people who know RTD and himself, and they got to say, right, we got this franchise, we got this idea, a Doctor Who, we can remake it as a something that people want to watch, a grown up. Takes the audience seriously, wants to entertain and a bit of drama, a bit of excitement, bit of thoughtfulness, and bit of challenge your ideas and things like that. As far as raise new possibilities of science and fiction and strange new worlds out there, type of thing, and make a good quality product and market it properly. And when he comes back, say, look. This is Doctor Who now. This is what it's like. Forget about without actually saying it. Say, forget about what you've seen already. This, get in your head, this is what Doctor Who is going to be like now. And you've got this space things, and there's believable aliens, there's world building, and there's, and there's planets, whatever else, and they're not sitting around a cafe somewhere arguing about chips and whether somebody fancies somebody. You've got to dispense with all the soap opera stuff.
Question, isn't it? Where is the monsters these days? There's no bloody monsters anymore. It's just the monsters are the white men.
But there's no threat.
Jews. White men and Jews. They're the villains.
They need to get.
You had Lux, which I'll give them that, and the Midnight Entity, but that's an old villain from the past.
Yeah,
so again,
even that entity. But think about it logically. Did any of those things really cause a threat or put the Doctor in danger? No. We got this whole thing.
Imagine if he was in danger. He was rescued by the companion or somebody else anyway. I think this last episode is the only time he actually did anything.
They can't bring the Daleks back.
To kill someone.
They can't bring the Daleks back unless they have these really nasty, vicious Daleks who shoot thousands in front on the screen and
can walk.
Bodies everywhere. Nobody comes back to life. Things are disastrous. Things are really, need to fear the Daleks now. And the Doctor doesn't walk up to them and sort of, oh, hello, I'm the Doctor. You should be afraid of me. And the Daleks come in behind.
Here's a question for you, actually.
If he brings the Daleks back, he'll dress them up as like ideas.
But I want to ask you: do you think the termination estate was like, no, we don't want the Daleks part of this?
I wouldn't be
this version of Doctor Who. Do you think that might have went down when Disney were discussing, their deal with BBC?
We can only hope
the termination estate may have rejected the idea of the Daleks being used in.
Well, because they're Daleks themselves, so they won't want to show them in a bad light now, will they?
They need to.
Too close to home. They're too.
Like I said, they'd have to change them and make them the Israeli soldiers and do a flip on it or something. They'd have to do a 180.
But again, they don't actually have to bring the Daleks back. If they bring the Daleks back, they got to be kick-ass Daleks. They can't be all this sort of mamby-pamby. Would you like a cup of tea, Daleks? But not only that, they need to bring up new creatures, new monsters, new threats, because the one galaxy is 100 billion stars or 100 million stars in it, and there's like 100 billion galaxies. There's plenty of scope. Why haven't they got any imagination? This is such a beautiful thing for a fiction writer to be given to do, and yet we got these idiotic ideological people like RTD doing their I'm saving people's lives so they kill themselves unless they have trans representation or whatever this week's weird messages. It's such a wasted franchise. Doctor Who should be the most spectacularly exciting thing to watch.
Well, when the weather is getting more ratings, when the weather is getting more ratings, when Country File is getting more ratings, when the news is getting more ratings,
when pointless celebrities,
the same people who said, "Oh, ratings don't matter," and then the minute they get a million bump on this piece
Yeah,
of shit
it's
episode.
popular now.
Oh, look, the ratings are like, even though
just
it's
love
still
the super
like
content.
one of the lowest ratings of all time, it's still, for them, it's an achievement. But that's it, isn't it? Celebration of mediocrity and failure.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
where
it was
we're at,
bumped up by the football and of course, the
and the
actual Eurovision
yeah,
afterwards, wasn't it?
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
of
got
course it
nothing to
was.
do
I wouldn't be paying attention to the ratings of the latest episode, but I
with an
know
anomaly.
Jimmy D would have
It's
picked
going
it up
down.
and celebrated that. Happened to be the most
Well,
rated.
in 2 days, we'll soon see what the catch up was on that. And with the actual, when they say, oh, the overnights don't matter, it's the 7 day, it's the 28 days, or the 28
Well, the
days.
7 day have
7 days
shown
been shrinking.
they've been, that's what I was going to say. The 7 day ratings actually show that nobody is actually tuning in to watch this. It is.
Well, it's not even a massive jump. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was only like 700,000.
That was the first one, I think.
Which is obviously a couple of thousand off. Well, it's a little bit off a million, but that's not a particularly massive jump, is it? If the 7 day is the big
Capaldi
one,
was getting
that's
2
the big
million.
one.
2 million
thereabouts. So I wonder what the excuse is from all the fans that big up the ratings. I wonder what their excuse is. I bet you I know what the excuse is going to be. Oh, they're going to wait till the whole season drops before you watch. No, they're not. Right.
No.
Bottom line is that this has been an absolute disaster when it comes to the ratings.
No.
You know what? I'm glad Disney have pulled out, because why would Disney waste another 100 million or whatever it is on this shit show? They've wasted 100 million here.
Do you know why you're right to say that's nonsense? It's a very simple fact, right? The first season that he was in, people were saying, I'll give this one season a chance, and then if it's good, I'll come back. If it isn't, I won't. So we had that run, and now we got this run. And there was a massive drop right from the start, and people did not come back. So the people at the end of that first season who were going to watch it when it was all finished and watch it all in one go, well, they certainly didn't come back for season 2. So that's just proving that that's not true. It's like they keep coming up with all these other things. Oh, this, that, the other.
Excuse after
excuse. Because of this. No. The reason why it's failing in the ratings is not because TV habits they have changed. People are not watching shit anymore. People are sick and tired of woke shit being shoved down their throat. They're going elsewhere. They're going out, or they're watching stuff on Netflix, or they're watching things elsewhere, or buying Blu-rays, DVDs, you name it, because physical media, funnily enough, has gone up. A lot of the people under 30 are now watching old movies on DVDs and Blu-rays, and watching old TV shows and other channels, right? So now I'd be interested to see, because they're doing reruns of Pertwee's era on that other channel. That new
how was that done?
I'd love to know, but it's this absolute nonsense that TV habits are no. It's because people are tired of broadcast television, which especially from the state-funded BBC, Channel 4, and ITV is also dying on the vine because there's so much more competition. Yes, there's partly that, but if it's good, people do turn up, and we've seen that with other shows on those channels. But it's because it's crap. People are not watching it because it's not Doctor Who, which is what people tune in to see Doctor Who for, is to see the Doctor fighting the Daleks and the Cybermen and monsters. Not
it's funny some of the excuses, though. Like the football one, especially as a football fan, and no one will know this. That excuse doesn't wash whatsoever, and it's quite evident that the people who use that excuse aren't football fans, because again, most matches are either shown at 3 o'clock, which last at 3 p.m., which isn't Doctor Who broadcast time. Plus, even if it was, it's a blackout, so that means you can't even watch matches that are at 3 p.m. because there's a blackout. Any other game is usually either on 12:30 in the morning. So again, not really impacting the time. So it makes I dare say the channel, because if you say it, I believe you should own it because you said it. But I'll leave it out for the time being. But this person claimed that the Premier League season coming to an end is affecting it. How that makes any slight remote difference is beyond me. I mean, again, generally, geeky Doctor Who fans aren't typically of the same demographic who will watch the football. Typically,
Well, there's going to be a Venn diagram, but I'm sure the Venn diagram would show a relatively smaller proportion than, let's say, you know, I don't see much crossover between the football and Eurovision. You know, for example, but people actively switched off from the football and switched off, and then that number came back when Eurovision started, and it got to just went down. So people were actively switching it off. The fact it had any sort of left watching it at all to the tune of 1 million was in and of itself pure fluke. It's just people didn't turn over because either they were drinking or partying or celebrating or whatnot, and it was just left on. The weather
always puzzled me as well, because that excuse really first started last season. That was when I first started hearing it, which is funny to me because, again, as I and Noah's pointed out, if you go back to season 1, started the first episode was 26th of March, and that season finished in, what was it, 18th of June? Was that the final one? So that went from March all the way through spring up until June, which is pretty much just near the start of summer, isn't it? And it did that for the majority of the Russell's run. It usually started very early in the year, and then continued, roughly to about May, June. Again, are you telling me for the best part of the early 2000s, no fucking sun was in the sky, and we only got sun until Ncuti's era?
I've said before that I used to leave the sunny events too early to get to my brothers to watch Doctor Who at 7:00. So if people want to watch it, they'll watch it.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it being like 15-inch snow. Sorry, for the best part of my childhood. You know, that was just blocking the sun, and I never saw the sun for the best part of me first majority of my life. I've only really started seeing it a couple of years ago.
No,
so
it's not a new thing. We've seen sun before.
No, the excuses are weird and thin now. The blaming the weather, blaming bank holidays, blaming football.
The lower the ratings go, the worse the excuses get.
So, look, the bottom line is it's failed, and it's failed spectacularly. And the only way you're going to fix this now is, well, you have two options. You shelve it for 10 years, or you completely throw out the people that have destroyed this show and have nobody that's worked on the past eras of New Who come back and work on the show. We need fresh blood. It's as simple as that.
And Charlotte's
it's
right.
The only way, if you have a shot at winning the fandom back, that's the only way you're going to do it. If you continue with RTD, then you're wasting your own money and you're wasting people's time. It's as simple as that. It's not going to be able to move forward with RTD, right? RTD was supposed to come back and be a savior. He's turned out to be the biggest villain that has ever penned for Doctor Who, and he's absolutely destroyed it. Yes, Chibs started it all off, but I agree with Lee, and I've been saying this quite a lot during these review panels. RTD, what he has done is worse than whatever Chibnall.
Michael Grade. RTD makes me forgive Michael Grade.
Did try some things new, and it didn't always pay off. But again,
Chibnall wasn't competent. He was incompetent.
Yeah, that's all he was. Yeah,
RTD is malicious.
Yes, yes, that's the difference. You're right. Yeah, Chibnall this show was too big for him. And,
it was never hatred with him, was it?
And the bottom line is, he did. That's the thing, though. Chibnall never hated the show, right? He did hate the criticism that we gave him, right? And he did throw his toys out of his pram, right?
But he kept his mouth shut more often than not.
Yes, he did. It was the other people around the show that were coming out with statements and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, I never thought he was malicious in any way. He just didn't like being criticised or being called a fake fan. And if we look back, he wasn't a fake fan. He was a fan of the show. I don't think he like a lot of people that grew up during the classic era near the end. I think he was very bitter and didn't like the direction the show was in. So I think when he took over, he wanted to kind of correct that. Well, and that's the worst thing you can do.
That's the thing with Chibnall, right? A lot of people that I know knew Chibnall from the WAS conventions or other sort of conventions and Doctor Who.
Nobody knows him.
people knew him, right? They may not have liked him very much, but they knew him, right? He was there. People recognized him.
True.
Not the same story when it comes to Russell T Davies. No one can pinpoint any DWAS or any sort of Doctor Who thing where, oh, Russell T Davies. Oh, look, there's that Russell guy. You know, he's a fan.
Is he ever queued up for an autograph and paid money?
I don't even think so. No, we know Moffat used to write letters to Doctor Who magazine when he was a kid, but
And
was he
Capaldi,
around
yeah.
on the scene going to all these conventions? Maybe they were just so inconsequential and no one noticed them or recognized them. I don't think you could miss RTD though, could you? But I just wanted to say hi to Kieran there. He's always good to see him. Leland Gauntlet's had to go off, and thanks for that. And Legend in there. Hello, Legend.
You wanted to highlight something Charlotte said, didn't you? I think you were going to say something earlier.
Yeah. Plus, Lee, no one is talking about Who online unless it's a shock like Susan or the Rani. When this era has to rely on itself, the figures are terrible.
Yeah.
Spot on. It's all this flashbang wallop. Oh, look, mystery box time, and that's all RTD does. By the way, it's the same shit that they pulled with Star Wars and Marvel, and it's the mystery box theater, right?
No more arcs, please. No more arcs.
Yeah,
no
it's all. Oh, who's this mysterious villain person? Who's the mysterious thing at the end of the? You'll have to watch it all to find.
That's my issue with it.
Oh, what's the magic companion going to do? Is she going to be the most importantest Everest, the most amazingest girl in the world at the Everest?
No.
I was flicking through my DVDs the other day, and I was just going through my Blu-rays and going through my collection, and I stuck The Empty Child on the first part. And I just skipped. I was just playing around with the settings on my TV and seeing which ones made it look better and whatever. I wasn't sitting there and planning on watching it. It wasn't for that reason, but I skipped it to the bit where the Doctor's sat at the desk, the dinner table with all the kids, and he's like, there's the line about, I don't know if this is Marxism in action or a West End musical, which is funny, the things you pick up as an adult, but and I watched it and I thought, wow, again, it really isn't nostalgia. Like the stark difference between the quality. Oh, for sure, that took itself seriously back then. I watched it and I was so gripped. Again,
because they had to earn it. Because they
I realised when I got to the credits, wow, I actually pretty much sat there and watched the best part of an episode of that I didn't even mean to. And I thought, it took itself so seriously.
Yeah,
and
because they were fighting because they didn't know where this was going. They were. I mean, apparently the whole thing was a complete shit show from start to end. But that in a way creates that kind of right chemistry for success, because you've got all these
every note was on
you've got
point.
all these people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it's all by the seat of the pants. And now it's complacency. They've grown fat on our checks. They've grown fat on their own self-importance and ego. They feel that they are in a position where they feel that they can judge us and lecture us and look down on us, and then put out the most half-assed piece of shit because they got a free check from Disney and they don't have to pay any fucking tax at all.
I don't know how to express it in words, but it's just like back then again with that episode, it felt like you didn't know it was a TV show. Again, it's a weird way to explain it, but it's like now. It's a bit like you said there a moment ago. Now it's like, who is this? What's this? It's almost like it's a bit too self-aware that it's a TV show and it's trying to look too good. It's
they turned it into a TV show by referencing it in the show.
Like there's just too many. It's too upbeat. It's too. I don't mind upbeat. I'm an upbeat person myself, but like it's too over the top. It's too satire. It needs to take itself seriously. It's again. Like you said, it even made itself a show and acknowledged that in looks.
It's vinegar covered in sugar. That's what it is. That's
people say, it's just nostalgia. It's just nostalgia. It's really, really not. Again, I watched when it was the 20th anniversary of Rose. I watched that and I was absolutely gripped. Like I haven't seen it for a while.
It's still a cheap knockoff of Spearhead from Space, because you still don't know where the autons come from. You don't know how the nesting consciousness ends up underneath London in the big pool of wax somehow that it lives in. There's no story there. It's great for an introduction. It's great for the fast pace. Great to get kids on board. I understand that. I'm not knocking it for that, but when it comes to, this shows you the difference in quality of writing between 2005 and 1970, right? Well, and how they treated their audience.
I watched a bit of the Silurians last episodes on that television channel, and yes, can you imagine these days when they spend time? The doctor was figuring out, writing down the formula for the cure of the disease the Silurians did by hand, taking 10-15 minutes to do so, and he was there in his lab coat on a bench. He wasn't using a special futuristic beamy thing. He was using an ordinary microscope and slides and everything else. He was working as a scientist, doing scientist doctory things, and like I say, writing it up by hand. These days it would be done 3 minutes before the end with a sonic screwdriver inserted into some sort of computer, which suddenly has
the problem with the pacing. It's too rushed.
He gets a gay man to go, oh, you're an expert. No, he goes to the gay man. So you're the expert on triangulation and lasers. So he gets someone else with skills, because for some reason he can't do it himself. He's supposed to be the cleverest man in the room, and yet he's getting someone else to do his work for him.
But the pacing is far
and the physics in that is ridiculous as well.
Yeah, well, we know about the physics. Well, I don't know about the physics.
2 hours and 18 minutes. We'll go for another 10. I'm only going for another 10 minutes, and then I'm ending the stream, right? Because my head is just pumping here with all of this bull. Listen, bottom line is this, right? But go back to basics with this show. Right, get rid of RTD and all of that click, and anybody that's ever worked for the show to never return, and you have a chance, and a slight chance, right? Not even a big massive chance now at this stage, because RTD has done more damage, but it will go a long way to convince fans like myself that you're at least trying to do the right thing by this show. Remember, this was
racist hypocrites
as well at one stage. Now it's a joke. Fans are actually embarrassed to say that they're Doctor Who fans, and nobody as a fan should feel that way about something that means so much to them. And the one thing that I hate about the last two eras especially is the fact that these two showrunners, Chibnall and RTD, have managed to make fans hate something that they grew up all their lives watching, and that I cannot forgive, and I never will actually forgive that. But I think RTD, even looking at his first era, you are right about the whole thing, Rose, and underneath where did the plastic
not explained,
the nesting consciousness end up there. It wasn't explained. You're right. There are you can see that there are some stuff.
I'd argue that it would just.
That didn't make sense.
Well, they did with the Spearhead.
It's at least there. It's at least back then, though. He was trying to write Doctor Who and do what was best.
He was never the right person for the job. Yes, they struck it but I would put that more down to Daleks and.
Dalek was deadly. Yeah,
I put it down to the Daleks. I put it down to Eccleston, even though I wasn't particularly a great fan of his Doctor, but I think he did very, very much. And the fact that they had Rose as a companion, she was very on point for that generation. Yeah. And I'd say as well, the music, the production, and
the tone.
It had that energy to it. And it was Doctor Who, right? It had the name Doctor Who. And people were excited about that. He knew, and he got kids excited because the parents introduced it. Whatever. Okay, so it became a thing. But I don't necessarily put that down to Russell T Davies. He's not a science fiction writer.
No,
and
never
the fact that the good writers that he did bring in or the ideas that he nicked in order to bring about stories like Dalek or whatever, or the other writers that never got hired again for some reason. It was maybe because they were actually far better than him and showed him up. But
I mean, Dalek is just Jubilee, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. But it wasn't him. As a producer, maybe, but as a writer, no. He's not a science fiction writer, and this proves it. If anything, this era proves it.
If you look at all his other works as well,
say that we won't have an RTD3.
No, his other works prove that what he's really interested in is personal relationships and soap opera things. So no,
that's his background. He did write for a sort of supernatural soap opera back in the 90s. What was it, Spring Hill? And I really liked that. I had obviously a gay thing in that as well, and that was quite unusual at the time. And that was when it mattered. It doesn't matter like that now.
Didn't he? He always, because he mentioned Buffy quite a lot back when he took the show over.
It's not Buffy, and this is the problem with RTD. Whatever is the current thing is what he is trying to cram Doctor Who into being. It's like
Star Wars, Disney shows. He said it himself, didn't he?
Star Wars, Star Trek, Discovery, and Bridgerton. And he even references them in this show.
But any showrunner should have confidence of Doctor Who being a Doctor Who like program,
And that's what's lacking. It's trying to be anything other than Doctor Who. People say, "Oh, the show's always about change." No, it isn't.
No,
it has change in it. But it's not the de facto important self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not the thing that makes it the thing. The thing that makes it the thing is the Doctor being the smartest guy in the room, not a sex object, not a crazy fucking genocidal maniac or a political activist. He's not. He's not a left wing. He's not a right wing.
I find it funny as well that
an authority figure. And
the next episode
he should be fighting aliens. And protecting people from all kinds of manner of alien invasions or autocracies or whatever. That's fine. Yeah. Use allegory. I don't have a problem with that. If you're going to do politics, do it properly, but do it in a way that shows both sides and do it with allowing the audience to make their own conclusions. That's what they did successfully in the 70s and the 80s, even the 60s. But what I would say is, it has an identity crisis. It's because Russell T Davies is trying so hard to make this a big show in America, a Disney type show, a Bridgerton type show, a Stranger Things type show, but it's not Doctor Who. And
nobody's talking about it.
That changed too far.
The people in America liked it being Doctor Who because it was more English and quirky and whatever.
That's why they liked it.
The whole
and you had a hero who wasn't going around shagging everyone or wanting to shag everyone.
Or shooting everybody with a tank.
Or shooting people.
It's the whole USP of Doctor Who has been thrown away and by people with lacking confidence. And
the reason why sorry, I will let you finish. I just want to say
I'm wrapping up shortly. So
okay. Yeah. I'll just say the reason why Russell T Davies is writing the Doctor as a fucking moron currently is because he's a fucking moron, and because
what do you know?
The Doctor should be the smartest guy in the room, and RTD is anything but the smartest guy in the room.
Here's the thing,
possibly right to his knowledge. So let Robert finish.
Sorry, I was just going to ask just one more question to kind of wrap it up, but I'll let you finish your point there, Lee, and then I want to ask this question. But go ahead, very quickly.
Shall I just finish what I was saying? Is that as you say, Russell T Davies writes what he knows, and he only knows a limited experience of life, and he hasn't got the confidence that Doctor Who is a self-representing entity, a franchise on its own merit. And you can't just make it popular by making it something that it isn't. If you make it into Buffy, then it's not Doctor Who, it's Buffy. If you make it into a Disney thing, it's not just Doctor Who, it's a Disney thing. People in America like the quirkiness and the Englishness of Doctor Who, and that's what attracted to them.
Well, that's what the attraction was. It was a British sci-fi classic.
Exactly.
It's like fucking thick.
He wanted to be anything other than Doctor Who.
Now he's made it generic. He's made it like every other fucking poxy show out there.
Next
Right.
week it's going to be one division. You've got Ncuti in a nuclear family with in a heterosexual relationship. It looks like with a child. I mean, what was it you said, Lee, about they can't go it back now? I mean, I find it kind of ironic that they're getting Ncuti to play a nuclear family.
All this gender fluid bullshit is actually
Yeah.
quite
Rose Noble's returning as well, folks. We're gonna have
she'll be on a tablet or iPad in the
more
corner.
terrible acting. Great.
Perhaps she'll give birth to the baby they're holding. I don't know.
Well, here's my question. Here's my question for you, right? This is a genuine question, right? And this is one where I think BBC have kind of fucked themselves over as well. Does anybody want to take over this show? Is there anybody out there that would actually take over the show? Any new blood?
Yes, but they won't let them.
Yeah, there definitely will be. I mean, there's plenty of people lining up for the Watford job, so there's definitely people. But it's like Lee says, they definitely won't let them because they're too ideologically captured. It's not one person. Not one person in this production crew. Not one person in this production crew is anywhere different. They all have the exact same opinion. Millie has the same opinion. Barada has the same opinion. Russell and his little clique of his little band of bandits. Everyone has the exact same opinion.
And who else had that?
Nicola Coughlin, even the people who come in for a one episode, they're all signing the open letter to the Supreme Court. That letter, they're all chanting from the river to the sea.
Who else? Who else used to do that? Who else used to enforce the fact that you all had to have the same opinion? Every tyranny in existence. The fascists, they did that a lot. The bad guys in Germany as well. They did that. Mao did that.
The only one that's vaguely different is Moffat.
Did that. Yeah, they did that. So I
don't want to go back to someone like Stephen Moffat either. I know his name's being bandied about, and I even mentioned it myself at the start of the season one. Maybe bringing Moffat back would have been the better idea. But again, Moffat, I think, is burnt out. I think his episodes in this era have proven that the man is burnt out.
Anyway.
He's burnt out. RTD, in my opinion, when he said he was burnt out all those years ago, is still burnt out. He can't write anything new. If you look at the season 1 and season 2, it's basically a rehash of old ideas, and he's just putting a ideology spin or I can't pronounce the fucking word.
I mean, was it not in Paul McGann's audition that he was talking about, the master being his brother? Again, it's like we're back to that kind of it's old ideas.
It's like even if RTD can't write for shit anymore, and not saying he particularly could before either. People say mid that okay, maybe that's a fluke. Whatever.
He should stay in his lane.
But it's not that. It's the fact that when he does hire other writers, they still have to be under his wing. Yeah, and young, malleable, influenced by him, or at least very much in line with his thinking. Thinking, but you know what I mean. It's so tiny-minded. It's like they have a monopolar view. I was going to say bipolar, but maybe they have a monopolar view of the world. And you either agree with them or you're a D person. You're not even human to these people.
But there's no more Gareth Roberts allowed in, isn't anymore, is there?
No, they won't allow anyone with any variant. And this is what made. I mean, if you look at Terrence Dicks and Bob Holmes and all that, there was a wealth of knowledge there.
Yeah,
people who were intelligent, educated, and they had. Very mixed views, and that came out in the stories and the scripts, but not in a very obvious way. That it was diverse in the sense that they created worlds and situations and stories that had very different spins from their own particular viewpoints, and it was different from one another. Now it's all the same. It's just I couldn't even tell if these stories, if I hadn't known that these stories were written by Russell T Davies or someone else, you couldn't tell the difference because there is no difference other than how a comma is placed or what stupid they all put the babes and honey and all that crap in there.
Well, even in this episode, they had it. This is set in the year 2900 and whatever, and the little dwarf woman when she was talking to the kid, when she was talking about one of the acts, she went, "Oh, she, her, or she, they." Like, are we still doing the pronoun? Are we still doing the pronoun thing? 9,000
if
years
we
in the
haven't got
future.
over that in that time, I mean, they're writing it as of today. They're not even thinking of how things would be different in the future. They're still navel gazing about foibles of today, and it's irrelevant in the future. That's so narrow-minded. Again, there's people who think that they're so broad-minded. Well, they're not, because they still think in 200 years or 300 years or 500 years or a million years in the future, they're still thinking like them and talking about the same shit today as they will. It's bollocks. It's so fucking narrow that you think the whole world is still going to be fixated on pronouns in the year 2250, whatever the fuck. It's
lacking imagination, isn't it?
It's terribly lacking. It's no imagination there at all. These people are dead-brained and dead inside. They're morally bankrupt. They're hypocrites. They are devoid of any real-life experience because their entire lives have been flooded with bullshit and living in a tiny, tiny metropolitan bubble. And it's so pathetically sad. And it angers me because it's like, well, you're denying real writers with real experience and real imagination from having a chance. But because you tick boxes, because I'm not saying that they cannot write in necessarily, maybe there isn't a talent there. But when you're only looking for talent from a particular tick box, you're denying so many people a rightful place in that job who should be there on merit alone with imagination and ability. But because you're only looking at such a narrow bandwidth, you're denying that. And I think that's tragic. And I think that's racist as well.
And on that note,
we will, if you change your days, please let me know in advance. Noel, I did send you an email. Sorry, PD. I did actually, I normally do it on Wednesday, but I needed a break. I did, but I will be back to normal for the season finale. Obviously, people are going. Here's another blunder from the BBC anyway, and the people behind it. People are going. You will have to watch. When you are on social media, because the 2-part finale is going to be shown in the cinema, and if I'm correct in saying it starts tomorrow, so BBC are throwing out the season finale one episode at a time, so there will be a week to wait for the second part. But if people go and see it in the cinema, which I don't think are many people, but there will be people that will spoil it on social media. Now, I know that most of you don't care, but for those that do
tomorrow,
care,
that's the week after, I think, isn't it?
Are you sure?
Yeah, because that's what they did the last time, because I went to the last one, and they showed the first part tomorrow, and then when I went, they re-showed part 1 and then part 2, just for continuity reasons. So they didn't. When I went to the cinema last time for the last finale, they didn't put
I think Matt Pot was on. Matt Pot was in the chat, and I think he said that it was shown a week early. That's why I mentioned it. I think it is.
No, I
definitely
remember. They show part 1 tomorrow, and then we'll wait a week for part 2. But then if you go to the cinema in 2 weeks' time, they'll just put both episodes. They'll play the whole story just for it flows better.
Why anybody would waste any money going to see that is
I'm not going this time.
I did actually check. They are showing it here in Ireland as well, believe it or not, because I asked the cinema branch where they showing it here. Cineworld are showing it, and they said that it'd be shown.
I'll be very interested to see the sales on those tickets.
Oh well, they will. They normally do, don't they? Because they tell you how much they made, and people went to see it. So we will get that. But it will be very interesting. I don't think many people will go to actually see it, to be honest with you.
Not for the last time, and they walked out disappointed.
The 50th anniversary was the last time I went to the cinema. And that was, as you know, that was the height of Doctor Who, and that was the crowds. That was impressive. I even took video footage at the time, if I remember, and threw it up on Facebook. of the crowds like that.
I mean,
were
it's
there.
at a more convenient time this time. And last time when I went, they played it at midnight because obviously, I think it started at like 11:30, but obviously they were playing the first part, and then see when that finished, it would have been midnight. So therefore, that's because that was when they were dropping the episodes. So therefore, we were watching it at the cinema the same time that it was for everybody else. So it wasn't like we were getting it first. Well, unless you didn't want to watch it at midnight and you watched it the next day, I suppose. But that was how they did it. They timed it up, they synchronized it so that part 2 would play at midnight, so when everyone else could get it on iPlay if you refresh the page or whatever. But this is at 7 p.m. This is the change to time. So if anything, this is at a more convenient time than the last one was.
Philip is saying next week. It is next week. So yeah, we must have got myself and Matt must have got it wrong there on the day. So it is next week. They're showing the season finale in the picture. So that's why they're showing the 2 episodes back to back. It will coordinate.
Sit through it twice.
But imagine that. I was very strongly thinking, should I go? Should I not? And then I thought, I'm not giving BBC. If I'm not giving them a view, I'm certainly not going to give them any of me fucking money. So I will wait like everybody else. But look, I'm going to wrap it up there because we're 2.5 hours, and we got the season finale to come up. So I want to save me time. PD has just popped in, so I'll just bring him on briefly. But we are.
Hey, that was shit. We can go now.
Ending the stream. Sorry about that, PD.
No, it's all right.
Send you an email. I should have sent you a message. I forgot to send you a message because I normally send you a message to let you know I've sent you a fucking email.
Yeah.
I forgot because I was messaging Lee and other people as well because Matt wanted to come on, but I think that was for Wednesday. Obviously, I haven't heard from Matt, so I apologise, Matt, if you're watching. But we will have Melon Rattler for the season finale. He did say he'd come on. He's in work tonight, so he's probably listening right now. So how are you, Melon Rattler? Hope work is going all right. And if you haven't checked out his latest video, his comeback video, go and check it out. It's a doozy. And of course, check out Ballstreck's channel as well. So yeah, folks, thank you for joining us tonight. I want to thank my panelists, Robert, Problem Being, and of course Cinnamon Toast Crunch for getting their teeth stuck into this absolute shit show. We've only got 2 more weeks to go, folks, so it's nearly over. And then, as I said, then as soon as the season finale finishes, we'll do our normal panel, and then we'll have another panel where I'll be bringing on people obviously who didn't get a chance to come on, and we'll be doing a whole season review where we will be discussing the series as a whole, and again we will discuss the future. Obviously, after the season finale, we should know where we stand actually with Doctor Who. Will it fade to black and say we'll be back in 2027 or whatever? We'll soon find out anyway. There's only 2 weeks to go, so I wouldn't say BBC will hang around with the announcement. I don't think they'll hang around. I think as soon as the last episode drops, we will know. Excuse me. Oh my God. We will know exactly what the future holds for Doctor Who. So we will leave it there, folks.
And Ncuti Gatwa was sacked ages ago.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
Bear that in mind.
And again, it was discussed as Lee has rightly pointed out, and he was right to point it out. In January
on this channel.
Yeah, with Charlotte. Charlotte was here as well when Charlotte was on the panel, and we did discuss that at the time. January 8th it was, or so, as you said. It was in January anyway, and Lee had told us that she was gone. And, it looks like, again, as usual, you leave it a few months, a few weeks, and you get vindicated. In the end, and that's why I don't argue with idiots anymore, because in the end, I always get vindicated, just like Lee, like that from the Space Book. We don't put out lies, right? And we're not those type of people. We don't put out lies, okay? We put out the information that we're given, right? And we always say, take it with a pinch of salt, and we don't say it's fact, by the way. That's one thing we're being careful of.
Cinnamon, I'm going to have to ban you in a second.
What? Say that again?
That's better. Oh, Cinnamon had a picture of problem being. I'm like, I have to ban you in a second. It's prom.
I'm
Yeah,
his
no.
disciple.
Yeah, but no, I'm exactly the same now. I haven't been on Facebook for ages because I'm just sick and tired of this kind of political warfare going on. It's just driving me crazy.
I know.
So I turned my back and walked away.
What I've been doing lately, people have noticed. I've been actually knocking my phone off at a certain time now.
Don't blame you.
Because in the evenings, especially, social media can get very well, there's lots of arguments. So I just knock the phone off now in the evening.
I don't blame you. It's just annoying.
Just to give me head a bit of fucking space. That's why I took a bit of a break. Because my head is just fucking wrecked with all this bullshit. The sooner this is over, the better. We've only got 2 weeks to go anyway, so I'm not.
God, oh my God!
2 weeks.
Well, actually, it's more like 1 week really, because we've got this one episode tomorrow. Just to get today, and then it's one more week.
8 days.
So 8 days until we.
And then it's off for good.
find
I mean,
out
until
what
2027. Sure, sure.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be longer. I hope it
And
is.
then, so 8 days until we get the surprise regeneration. Then
400 little hours. 400.
Oh,
Anyway.
I think he's going to die this time. I'm hoping it's a car crash or something.
Revealed.
Train crash.
Anyway, we will find out what the future holds for Doctor Who. Disney or BBC will put out their statement. I'm pretty sure Disney Plus will put out their own statement on why they haven't continued with Doctor Who. They'll probably,
Doctor dies from.
They'll obviously put out a statement that will save face because they won't want to be known as the company that wasted 100 million on this shit show. So look out for the press releases.
A lot more on other shit.
That's how he'll regenerate. He'll regenerate for dehydration. He'll be crying.
He'll regenerate to Mickey Mouse.
From crying.
Yeah, too many tears have been shed. Lack of dehydration, and then he'll just.
Right, lads. Let's do the shout outs now. The channel is our social medias and channel shout outs. So we'll start with you first, Robert.
Right. Social medias under my own name, and the channel. It's only going to be occasional.
Cool.
I got to get in here.
You're a good painter. I'm saying that.
I don't do painting, but I'm a painter of model airplanes. But it's not a regular schedule for that. That's what I'm saying, and I'm hoping to broaden my output as well. But it's all facilities, money, all the things that you have. I'm not going to give you my soap opera of my life, but there we are. So it's just over 400 little hours till it's all over. So hang in there, folks, and we can all look back on this with camaraderie and yes, we survived.
That's it.
Good night, everybody.
Another fucking. This one's being tougher than the Whittaker era, I've got to say.
Yeah.
But problem being, do you want to shout out anybody or your own social medias?
Oh, just go and give Jack a subscription at Drawing Jack Rabbit, and also I think he's got another podcast. We're still trying to work on that, but we'll see. But just remember, say no to these fascist fuckers and their anti-Jewish sentiments.
Yeah, heard about that.
Don't. I mean, I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe, but just don't listen to what the fucking media tells you. And I will take the side of that fucker from Lucky Day. I think he's right. He should question things. I make no bones about it.
Fuck off my planet.
Pro-Israel all the way. The Jews have a right to exist in their own peace, and
I'd say probably
should be used as a political tool to deny that. Go on, sorry.
What I'd say is go speak to Rabbi. He'll tell you what's actually happening out there.
Yeah,
he's very good at it.
He's actually living there,
and he's got family IDF.
So fuck all that shit. Using Doctor Who to push anti-Semitic tropes of Jews wearing horns, and they're not really the Jews; they're hellish people or whatever it is.
Aliens,
very subtle, very subtle.
Convincing metaphor.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake!
I'm Israel High, and
Right, Cinnamon.
Wow. Oh boy! What a day! What an
Oy
era!
vey.
Oy vey! Well,
To be like,
we've got part 5 of The Walking Dead with Lee's dying. Not our Lee, a different Lee, but
Like,
well, not yet. Anyway, we'll see what happens backstage. Can't promise
this
anything,
is killing me already.
yeah. God, yeah. So, yep. Let's come out tomorrow. So I'm not even going to bother doing reviews. I can't be bothered doing my own personal reviews. I said I would, but I can't. What's the point? What's the point? I've said everything here. It's no point going through all it again. It fucking won't matter in a week's time anyway. Probably not when Jodie Whittaker or was it Billy Piper comes back as the 16th Doctor. Whatever's going on.
Well, they have
Or Rose
cast
Elling
them.
Ellis.
They
Either
have
way.
cast them. So, I mean, it might just be for the bit at the end and then leave it there, and that's it. That's probably why they cast someone that's already been in the show. That's an actor, because they can just go as a contractual obligation. Doesn't mean anything's going to come of it, and that's it. It's all done and dusted, and it's the last you'll ever see of it. But it might not. I dare them. Go ahead, see what happens. See what happens.
Yeah, I'd
It
love
goes
them
up
to
1
actually
million.
cast-
It will go there. It will go there.
I'd actually love them to bring back Jodie Whittaker for this season finale, and also then
Better than this.
the rumor, which is absolute bullshit, but I wish it did actually come true. Billy Piper becomes the Doctor, because that will end it. Nobody is
On that
tuning into that
It was
shit.
all actresses, and the woman that played the tree in the second episode, The End of the World. That woman, the actress who played her, apparently was on that list. Yeah. I think she's a bit long on the tooth, don't you? Probably by this point. Billy Piper was on it. Rose Elling Ellis was on it. I think there's probably somebody else. It was like,
go for it. See what happens. See what happens.
See how far
see
you
what
get.
fucking happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I've got to wrap it up there. PD, I'll let you do a couple of shout outs there as well.
Yep, I'll be probably back with Rabbis on Saturday, but not Sunday, because I'm a very busy bunny at the moment. But also, and if you got any questions on Jewish culture, please ask Rabbi. He is very, very, very well versed on it.
I'll bloody be moving there soon.
You'll be joining.
I bloody have to at this rate.
Right.
Everyone will be joining Rabbi.
Anyway, you can find me here on the Tartar Zone. I will be back tomorrow for my live reaction to the first part of the season finale, and to be quite honest with you, I'm dreading it, but that's what we do on this channel. Also, I will be bringing you a video hopefully tonight. Millie Gibson has done a bit of an interview, so I want to talk a little bit. So we will. No, she's done another interview. So it's just had to be released there as we were speaking.
Darling, you were fired, and the only reason you're in it is because 2 stories revolved around your character, and that's the only reason they had you back. Just want to point that out. Okay.
Yeah. You were replaced by a DEI hire, but the fact that you've come out and criticised fans is absolutely disgraceful. So basically, the headline is that Millie Gibson has said that she will be more than happy to return to Doctor Who if it continues, basically. And my simple answer to that is fuck you, right? Okay. And the reason why I say fuck you is because you came out and criticised fans, okay? The bottom line is all you had to do, love, was keep your mouth shut. And, people actually didn't think you were the worst part of this era, but you had to open your mouth. And
well, it's easy to speak up. It's easy to speak up and give the 2 pence. When they aren't going to stick around, they'll move on to other shows and move on with their careers. We're the ones that again, like football teams. We're the ones that'll be here in the long run.
She'll be back on fucking Coronation Street or whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? All these people who haven't got a clue what Doctor Who is.
Do you know what annoys me about this?
They know all about it and we're wrong and whatever.
Right, lads, I need to wrap up.
Yeah.
Go on,
just very quickly, very, very quickly. Even Alex Kurtzman told Russell U. Davis, "Do not attack the fans." Let's go for Alex Kurtzman, for God's sake. Jeez.
Says the man that fans.
This is the real unholy trinity. You got Kathleen Kennedy, Russell T. Davis, and the people from Star Trek.
Alex Kurtzman,
yeah.
Anyway, lads, we'll be doing this all again tomorrow, and then
go fuck you.
So come and join us.
I can't go through this again. Are
I've
you
got a
crazy?
really important question I need to ask Lee. As you know, I asked a big question last week. It's going to be my tradition now. Every episode, every thing, I have to ask Lee a
Come
question.
on, I have to wrap up, lads.
Yeah, yes.
Will you be buying the Ncuti Gatwa 15th Doctor Barbie doll?
Will it cry?
Sake.
Only if I could stick pins in it. But
It doesn't
no,
even look like him. Go and check
Does
it
it
out.
cry?
It's fucking hilarious. It doesn't even look like him.
Good night,
there's
everyone.
there's an actual Barbie doll figure.
There is. They've released Barbie.
We'll send you it. I'll send you it later.
Go fuck off.
Yeah, they are. And do you know how much it is? 51 quid.
50 fucking quid.
51 quid.
You know what? If you want to buy it, you buy it. But you know,
I said don't waste the plastic, man.
No.
You, Chris Chibnall.
No, save the planet. Buy all the Ncuti Gatwa dolls. Come on, keep giving them the money.
And then should I wear the sun don't shine?
Yeah.
Then should I wear the sun don't shine? If you know what I mean.
That's what he'll be doing.
Some people
Now we
might
can all have
enjoy
our
that.
own Russell. Now we can all have our own Ncuti doll to play with, just like Russell.
Tiny tears. Tiny tears.
I had to go to give you all a chance of ending the stream. Oh no, thanks, Robert.
Bye, Robert. Sorry, Robert.
See you later, buddy.
I've got to go as well. I'm running low on battery here.
Right,
And,
I'm going to go now and putting the fucking trailers on. But listen, everybody that's joined us in the chat tonight, thank you very much. Don't forget to support the channel, like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Leave a comment as always, and we will see you tomorrow for what's the first episode of the season finale called? The reality.
World.
Oh, Wish World. Yeah, that's stupid shit. Yeah, Wish World.
off.
Come and join
Make
us.
a wish.
Yeah, make a wish. Anyway, we'll leave it there, folks. Have a good evening, good night, and we will talk to you again very, very soon.
May your
Good
God walk with
night,
you.
good night, chat. Goodbye.
Bye.
Push the button. No, you're running out of credits.
Look at you.